Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. Happy Tuesday. How are things? How is life? Let me test this. Is this gonna help or hinder today? We will find out. I'll leave it off for now because, yeah, I feel like there's enough natural light, but we'll see. So I brought light source reinforcements if it gets a bit dark and I can't see what I'm doing. Good morning, Kat. How was your weekend? How are things? I hope it was good. I had a very busy weekend. I can get into it later. It was all good though. All good things. I also feel like I'm in less of a state of tumultuous on and off stress than I was last week, which is very good. You know, all of the stuff for the reception is basically done. So I'm a lot less stressed about stuff, which is nice. Now we're literally just in clean the house mode, which is fine. You know, taking it slow, keeping it chill, kind of like, you know, calm before the storm, if you will. So that's why we're sort of taking it easy today. Yeah, we can't see shit without this. But yeah, might actually be better. Oh, this might be a problem over here. Okay, let's rework. Let's rearrange. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Okay, cool. It's a touch thingy. So obviously as I touch and retouch it, it then flicks on and off. So my apologies for the on and off of it all. But yeah, oh, that's good. It wasn't much of a thing. Sometimes that's fine though. You know what I mean? Like sometimes having a chill weekend with not a whole lot going on is the best kind of weekend. So today we're painting our nails because I kept talking about how I wanted to paint my nails. And then I just never got around to it. And I have a feeling that if they're not painted, they're getting longer. And I just foresee some of them breaking in the near future. And I find that when my nails are painted, the likelihood of that happening diminishes. Because I would like, you know, as much as I'm trying not to care about like superficial things in terms of getting ready for this reception, I would like all my nails to be of like a similar length. You know, nothing's worse than when you have nice, beautiful, long nails and then you have this wonky, cracked, short one afterwards. Yeah. So, want to do that. And then I'm also going to, I'm going to paint them with a peel-off base coat. So that, because I do want to paint them a different color for the reception, but I want them to be painted and then also be less of a faff when I go to repaint them. So I'm going to use a peel-off base coat so that they'll stay temporarily. If I do it properly, they should still last, you know, about a week-ish. If I lay the peel-off base coat properly. But even if that's not the case and I have a few that like pop off in the next few days, some coverage is better than no coverage, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I kept on saying I'm inspired by, I just put nail oil on. I kind of don't want to touch it with the nail oil. Let's rub this off. I just put nail oil on my cuticles before we push them back, but obviously I'm inspired by this project that we completed together. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a manicure inspired by this picture? So specifically, I think I'm going to basically this flower here. So I managed to pick out 5 colors, each of them that are represented in this flower specifically. And then we're going to do each nail one of the colors. The only thing was I really don't own a lot of like pastel pinky nail colors. So the closest thing I had was this purple, which kind of actually like on the camera actually looks pretty accurate. But yeah, so I have a brown for the stem. I have our turquoise color for the leaves. We have this purple color for the flower itself. This color, this is actually one of my favorite colors to paint my nails, is on the, like, the little accent bits, and then the little orangey bits on the little top here. So we'll figure out sort of the order of operations of how we want the, like, which color we want to go where. Because I don't want a color I'm not super obsessed with to be my thumbnail. Basically, I feel like in terms of nail painting, your ring finger and your thumbnail are like prime real estate for colors. So you don't want to put a color that's like not your favorite on either of those fingers, in my opinion. So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, so I figured, well, we're gonna do the whole thing. Usually it does take me like 2 hours to paint my nails if I'm doing like everything. Obviously I don't have to take off old polish, so I think that'll help, but I'm also painting a nail every single, like each nail a different color, so that might also prolong the length of the manicure situation. But yeah, so that's the plan for the day. And then we'll just, you know, hang out. The sun is shining. Hopefully that'll give us, you know, some more daylight energy, some vitamin D. Shadow and I went for our morning W, and the sun was shining, which was really nice. But in that way where it's like, I think now it's finally springtime weather, where it's sort of like, you know, leggings and a t-shirt with like a spring, like a light spring jacket or a sweater. Sometimes even just the you know, the leggings and a t-shirt or jeans and a t-shirt kind of weather, which is my favorite. Like, I feel like spring, fall weather where it's like, you don't have to wear shorts, but you don't have to like bundle up to the nines. Those are the ideal temperatures for me. I feel like I thrive the most in this sort of temperature. We'll see how much like filing we need to do. I think there's a few, like I want to obviously like, you know, get the sort of edges a bit cleaned up, but that should be okay. But not long now, I video chatted with my parents yesterday, and so we went over sort of like the final details, and it just got really exciting too, because I think sometimes I get, like I've talked about it before, where I got stuck on my own head, like preparing for their arrival, that I just sort of like, I don't know, I get so focused on like getting things done and like getting real, I don't know, like kind of stressed about the whole situation. But then after talking with them, like the stress of it all now is sort of transitioning to excitement. It's sort of that thing where, you know, it feels like there's so much to do and so much going on, so you don't have almost like the brain space to be excited for what's about to happen. But now that most of the stuff is out of the way now, I can finally like get into a headspace where I'm like really looking forward to this. Which sounds bad that, like, you know, not to say that I wasn't looking forward to it before, but I think just my brain was occupied with more immediate pressing matters of like, in order for me to really enjoy this time, I want to have other things put in place. But yeah, so that'll be really cool. I think too, my brother's like asking questions, and usually like I don't hear from him very often, but even my mom was like, yeah, like he keeps messaging us asking like, oh, what the weather's like, what should he bring, all this kind of stuff. So I think he's really like excited about it, which is really fun. He was even asking, he asked me the other day, he was like, oh, like your like Liam's family really likes those Canadian maple cookies, right? Like I'll bring a couple of those boxes. Is there anything else you want me to bring? Because, you know, I'm going to have a lot of room because we're taking him to like Warhammer World. So he's going to probably stuff his suitcase with a bunch of stuff from there. So he's like, if you need me to bring anything, then I'll have like room left over. So I thought that was really sweet of him. But yeah, I think I've talked to you guys about the maple cookies before, eh? How my parents came over to visit in, I think it was November last year, and they were like, oh, like, what do you want us to bring? And I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool if you brought like a bunch of different Canadian themed foods and stuff, right? And usually, traditionally, Liam's family is very savory, right? And so we're like, yeah, bring like, you know, the dill pickle and the ketchup flavored chips and the all dressed chips and all that kind of stuff. That'll be really fun. And then just on happenstance, my mom and dad brought over a box of those maple cookies. You know the cookies that are shaped like a maple leaf and they're like a sandwich cookie where they have like a maple butter in the center and then 2 cookies either side? So they brought 1 box. Well, wasn't that the most popular thing that they could have brought? It lasted all of 2 seconds and everyone was like, well, where's the rest of the maple cookies? And so when Liam and I went back to Canada last August, we went to Walmart on the last day. Yeah. Hi, Cha-Cha. Good morning. They are very good. So what Liam and I did on the last day, we were visiting Alberta. We went to Walmart and we grabbed 3 boxes of each brand we could find. Because it's like, obviously Walmart has their own brand, then Dare has like a brand, and so there's different manufacturers of these cookies. And so we were like, oh, if we get a selection of them, then people can almost like taste test and have a preference of what they would like. So we did that. But of course we're all out now. So like now is the time for the stash to be replenished. But I'm not going to ask my brother to bring over 10 boxes of cookies. I was like, yeah, bring over a couple, and then the family can fight over them. Yeah, they are. I don't know if I've ever found a gluten-free version of them, but from childhood memory, I do remember the maple cookie being incredible. But yeah, so that'll be really cool. But yes, we're off to it was funny, I was saying to Liam, because we have a friend, like a friend of ours, and now we're friends with her partner as well, and he's a real big Warhammer guy, and I think she's kind of like a bit eye-rolly about it, where it's like, oh man, like, yeah, okay, I didn't realize he was into this kind of stuff. So I joked with Liam, I was like, oh, maybe we should ask Ben if he wants to come to Warhammer World with us. He might be working, I'm not sure what his like work schedule is, but I wonder if we like went with him and then had like a super like nerds day out. I'm sure he'd really enjoy that, actually, because I don't think he has very many people like in his immediate circle that he can sort of like geek out with, and we're sort of like the only friends that he can really sort of do that with. Yeah, no, I know, I think it was a bit unexpected, or that like, yeah, but definitely, I know, I feel like funny about that too, where I'm like, hey man, everyone's entitled to their own stuff. Yeah, no, I don't like that. Yeah, so that's a triggering situation for you for sure. No, I love talking to people about what they're passionate about, even if I don't understand. So like, I went to Warhammer World with my brother the first time he came to visit, which was like 3-4 years ago, and I don't know anything about it, to be completely honest. I have no idea. I just know about the figurines and the games and the books, and that my brother's super into it, and it's like a fantasy environment, you know what I mean? But yeah, this Warhammer World, it's like built up where it's just kind of it's like out of the way. It's on the outskirts of Nottingham, just kind of like tucked away in like an industrial area. Yeah, I'm the exact same way, Kat, where I'm like, please, like, talk to me about what you love, and I'm just gonna be fascinated by, like, yeah, I get excited about people's passion for stuff. And I couldn't even help but be, like, sucked into this, right? So, basically, it's in this kind of warehouse. It almost looks like it's, like, the Warhammer office headquarters, but they've also then tacked on this separate part, which is the Warhammer world, where part of it is like a tabletop play zone. Like, so if you want to do like your Warhammer miniature campaigns or work on them and stuff, they have a big sort of play arena with a bunch of different tables where people can sort of do that. Then obviously they have a gift shop where you can buy all of the Warhammer paraphernalia, or a shop that's more specific to like getting the paints and the stuff to decorate those things. And then there's basically like a museum, and it's not like a museum like when you would go to like a toy factory and it would be like, oh, this is when Warhammer was invented or something. No. It's the history within the Warhammer universe. So it's like, the universe happened and the factions, and it like walks you through like the Warhammer universe history, not like the history of how Warhammer was invented and like who invented it. You know what I mean? So at one point in this timeline, there's like a whole collapse, like sort of like, you know, kind of like Marvel, where, you know, the entire universe explodes, and then it's sort of like, this is now an alternate timeline. Now it starts, and it's like this particular thing. And then we'll see what happens, but I think last time they had like this massive battle scene, like this insane, like an entire room, probably like the size of our living room, just like massive battle depiction, like diorama that was depicted, right? And so they do this entire thing, and then I think they actually had a picture, and it was like, if you can find this specific Warhammer character depicted in this massive battlefield, I think you won a prize. I don't know if you won like a gift card to the shop, or if you won like a specific Warhammer battle set or whatever, but like that was a thing. And so I just remember me and my brother like walking around this diorama, we probably spent a good 45 minutes looking around this thing, trying to find, because there was so much to look at. It was one of those things that every time you walked around there was something new to look at as well. But it was like, okay, we're gonna really try to make this happen, and no, we couldn't find it. So this might be, you know, my brother's redemption arc. Oh, and then there's also like a Warhammer themed tavern. So that's part of the reason why he wants to go, because you can get like Warhammer themed mead in this tavern. So he wants to go and like buy a bunch of bottles and bring them back with him. So I'm like, all the power to you, sir. But yeah, so that's happening on Monday, which will be fun. Again, for me not knowing anything about this, I'm like, I'm just along for the ride, man. We'll see what happens. But it was funny because his girlfriend is coming over too. And so my mom, like, you know, because we're, you know, quite, like, we're planners and stuff. So she sent out sort of the acting itinerary for the week that we're all together. And then obviously they go home, and then there's like another itinerary for other people. And so, you know, that day is like the Warhammer day, and then my mom and my aunt are gonna stay home and like watch Shadow and stuff. And so then they're like, oh, if there's any amendments you want to make to the schedule, let me know. And so my brother, his name is Victor, so Vic messes back being like, well, I think my girlfriend would rather probably, you know, maybe stay at home and hang out with Shadow than go to the Warhammer Museum. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe, because I didn't know that because I know that they met at their, like, in their games group at university. So, like, different tabletop games, like, all those sorts of things. So I thought maybe she had, like, somewhat of an interest in the Warhammer stuff, but I don't think she does. So I'm like, that's fine. She can stay and hang out with the doggy, hang out with the puppo, and then we'll go gallivant. We'll, you know, drive my brother to this very niche location for one day. Because it's not even like, because I know originally we were planning to go out there like as a family and like maybe take the train out there and stuff, but because the museum is outside of the main like Nottingham town center, my mom is kind of like, well, I would go to like hang out in Nottingham but not to actually go to the Warhammer Museum. So it's like, nah, we'll just drive and we'll do this. Really? Aww. It is one of those things, unfortunately, like it does seem like it's quite an expensive hobby, and that it does take up a lot of space. So depending on how into it you get, it could be one of those things like that it takes up a lot of money and room in your life. And some people might not allow that, which is a shame though, because I think there's a way to do it, you know? So we pushed the cuticles back. Now we're just like filing the edges, and then I'm probably gonna like cut any hangnails we have going on before we get started with the actual painting of it all. We got 3 hours, guys. We got a lot of time to do this. But yeah, so we'll see. It should be fun. But yeah, so we have the Warhammer Museum. We have like a big day in London planned where we're going to go see a show, and my brother and his girlfriend are going to go to like the museums and stuff like that. And then Thursday is like, you know, the calm before the storm, doing any last minute stuff, you know, like getting ready for the event. And then it's the event. She's not my favorite person when it comes to mental health. That's frustrating. That's unfortunate. It's one of those where this is what I want to do, and so you're going to do it with me. And it's like, isn't this relaxing and fun? And it's like, well, no, this is not the type of vacation I like to do. That's a shame. Liam and I were talking again about, like, bachelor and bachelorette parties. Because, again, we have 2 sets of friends that are getting married this year, and they're both doing destination weddings. One of them's kind of a destination wedding, but, you know, it's only destination for some of us because she's actually from the area. So she now lives in England, but she's originally from this particular location. So her getting married there, it's not a destination for her per se. It's like her just getting married at home. But it's a destination for all of us. But then the thing that also seems to be happening, I don't know if this is, it must be more of a thing in Europe. I'm sure it's probably a thing everywhere. But there's this thing where, like, first of all, now, I feel like back in the day, a bachelorette or a bachelor party was like an evening, kind of like nearish the wedding, where you just like went out and got like shit-faced beforehand. And like that was it. And it was like your last hurrah as a single person or whatever, right? But now they seem to have evolved to be like, well, now they're a weekend. And now they're, not only are they a weekend, but they're a weekend away, half the time a weekend abroad or something. And so it's like, I don't know, it's one of those where, and also too, like, in fairness to the bride and groom, they have their like best men and people like organizing it on their behalf, so they don't really know what's going on. But they obviously have to have some sort of say in the situation, or like an expectation of like, yeah, I would like to go out and do this thing. But it just is like, oh, okay, so we're gonna, you know, spend probably 500, minimum 200 to 500 pounds to go away for a weekend for, like, basically it's gonna cost the same amount. If anything, actually, it's probably gonna cost more to attend the bachelorette or the bachelor party than it is to attend the wedding. Because obviously with the bachelorette, if it's away, you're paying for flights, you're paying for accommodation, and then you're paying for any of the events. So everyone kind of goes in on, you know, the events and then the food and then any sort of like matching merch that you get together. Whereas the wedding, you're only paying for your flight and accommodation. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's actually more expensive in some instances, and that's a little bit wild. Yeah, you never had one. No, and I was thinking about it. I've only ever been to one, because, you know, the way it sort of worked, and not intentionally, but every person whose wedding I've been to, I've not been able to make the weekend because I was either already moved away and they were people from back home, or like I had family visiting or something. Like there was never, and it wasn't even intentional. It just was like I just never had the opportunity. The only one I went to was, again, one where it was like we went to a bar in our hometown for the evening, and like that was it. Which to me feels more like what your sort of traditional or original like hen parties or bachelorettes were intended. But yeah, it's just very interesting. You know. Yeah, that's the part that's weird. That is the part that's weird, where it's like, okay, let's get really rowdy beforehand. And then it's kind of like, okay, so what does that mean? Because it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know. It is a very strange concept. I don't mind the idea of like going out and hanging out and like celebrating the fact that you're getting married. Like that's cool. But yeah, the idea of like, oh, like it's almost like this is like your hall pass night or something. Not that you can go that far, maybe some people think they can, but I don't think that that's fully the intention, but there is some sort of weird, yeah, so like that's like when I went to that afternoon tea in London with some girls, like that was what I would have wanted. And it was like, okay, this is one day, one event, it's under 100 pounds, like that's enough. Because then too, to me it was more like, this is what I want. Like, I don't know, for me it's always been more about the people I want to spend time with and less about like the activities and the doing of the stuff. Because in my brain, if like I want to use this as an excuse to get as many of the people I care about together in one place. And obviously, as of right now, a lot of my friends now have kids. A lot of them are farther away. Like, they have work commitments and stuff, right? So I want to try to minimize the amount of hoops that people in my life would have to jump through in order to spend time with me. And so I do find, like, okay, if we're going to go on a destination adventure and you have to spend all this money, and also it's going to be a weekend and you have kids, or you have, you know, pets that you need that you need cared for and stuff like that. Like, it just puts all of these barriers in place, you know what I mean? But again, then to each their own, right? Like, my understanding and experience and how I want to spend my time with the people I care about could be different for some people versus other people. So yeah. I thought where a girl had her and her friends and brought over theme. Oh, that's cute. Themed charcuterie boards. That's kind of clever. I like that. I do feel like, you know, a friend night in is like you said, like that's more my speed. And more like, I don't know, I feel like that would be a lot of fun. So like the other day, because one of the things I told you guys I was really stressed about was finishing the toy boxes for the kids for the reception. And so my friend heard me ranting about it and was like, oh, do you want me to come over and help? Like, would that be okay? And I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So Saturday night she came over and helped me like paint and set them up and stuff. And it was actually really cool. And I was like, maybe we should do like a monthly craft hangout where we just, and I've been wanting to do that. Like, I've talked about stuff like that for a while, where it's like, let's just have some friends come over and we just like, either we work on a craft together or we work on separate crafts that we have on the go. I think that would be really fun. And then it's a nice break for her as well. And it's a way for us to like connect and hang out. But then also we're not just like sitting awkwardly. It's like, oh, we have stuff going on. Sour candy gummy cane. That would be really cool. Yeah, I wonder what sort of theme, what other kinds of themes there would be. That would be really fun. But yeah, so I'm thinking about that. I think once again, all of the chaos of the family visit kind of dies down and stuff, I definitely want to start putting that in place. Because I think that would be fun. And also, not being funny, I feel like it's kind of it's gone in one way where originally like I started streaming and I found it really helpful for managing like my loneliness and my isolation, like especially when Liam was working more. And so I feel like, you know, I'm being social and I'm communicating with you guys. But then I think in a way it's really helped me, but I think in a way it's also then like I've filled my social meter for the week, so I don't necessarily need to then seek out my like in-person friends to get that fix, you know what I mean? So in a way, every once in a while I'm like, oh yeah, like maybe I should meet up with like my friends and stuff and hang out and things. Whereas I'm like, oh no, like I've been social all week, like it's all good. But this weekend we did actually meet up with a group of friends. This was, and then after my friend came over and helped with the painting and stuff like that. But we met up at our local park. And there were 6 dogs and 4 kids with our friends. So that was interesting. That was quite a situation, but it was good. Like, it wasn't a bad thing. It was one of those where like it probably could have gone off the rails, but we had a picnic. And luckily Liam had the idea like, oh, if we're having a picnic and bringing food, we should probably bring a table because dogs. Which was really good because Shadow only ended up stealing 1 sandwich. And I think it probably could have been a lot more difficult to navigate having a picnic if with 6 dogs around if all the food was also on the ground. You know what I mean? So yeah, so he luckily had the foresight to be like, we should bring a table. But it was fun because a lot of them, so I've told you guys how Shadow's very first like doggy friend he made was a Chihuahua named Teddy when Shadow was 6 months old. And we've not seen Teddy in a long time. Like, we've seen my friend, but we've not actually seen her dogs in a while. So she has 2, but the Shadow hadn't met her second one because we got she got her afterwards. But yeah, so Teddy and Shadow saw each other again, and we weren't kind of sure how they were going to react because obviously Shadow is now massive. To be fair, he was big when he was 6 months old, but he was like, you know, like a little Cavapoo size probably at like 6 months old. So he wasn't as towering over Teddy, but obviously now like Teddy the Chihuahua is like the size of Shadow's head in completeness. But everyone was very well behaved, which was really cool. But yeah, and then also too, because my friend had said that her dog, like Teddy, had been like, as he's getting older, he's become a little bit of a curmudgeon. He's a bit of a grumpy boy, and so he's really yappy and like reactive to other dogs and stuff now that he doesn't know. And so we weren't sure, like, he's not kind of seen our like, you know, these dogs in a while, like we'll see how they go. And even too, like our other friends, I think they have like a Cavapoo and a miniature poodle, and we went to have dinner over at their house. This was probably last year sometime, and probably because the dogs were in their own space, the one dog, the Cavapoo, his name's Henry, he's like not territorial, but like he kind of shut shit down, right? And so I remember him being very grumpy with Shadow. But I think, you know, being in a space that's not specifically theirs and like having the space to run around and stuff, they all got along really well. Man, I love puppies. Honestly, same. It was so funny though. So, our friends, the oldest one that was there, they have a little girl and she's 4. And she's like the most confident little sassy pants, and it's incredible. Like, she's so smart and so full of life. And she loves the dogs, right? But she's kind of like, she doesn't quite know what to do, so she's quite heavy-handed. Like, she'll come over and like give the dogs like a big hug, and then she kept on wanting to walk the dogs, and so she would like, my friend would give her the lead, like the leash that one of the Chihuahuas was on, and so then they go for like a little walk together. But at one point, she wanted to take 2 dogs for a walk. So she had one of the Chihuahuas and then wanted to take Shadow for a walk. And of course, Shadow, like, he didn't have his lead on, but we have him in a harness that has like a handle. So when he's like pulling and stuff, I can sort of hold on to him. And so she's like a little bit taller than Shadow, right? So she holds on to the little like loop on the back of his harness and is like, okay, Shadow, we're gonna go, right? And of course, Shadow just doesn't budge. She's like, come on, like, we're gonna go. And he's like, what? And he kind of like looks at us like, what is this child doing? Yeah, that's true. And that was the thing that I thought was really great, that I was like, you know, it's a good testament to whether our training or the types of dogs that we have in their mentality, that they kind of just took it all in their stride. At certain points, though, this little girl would like take the dog for a walk in a direction, or she'd like pick them up and give them a hug or try to pet them and stuff. And the dogs would just kind of look at their respective owners like, Mom, what's going on? But other than that, like, none of them got so overly like, oh my God, like upset about it. But it was just so funny watching her interact with them and them kind of being like, this tiny creature is a little bit nuts. And we're like, yeah, man, like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But at one point it was really cute. Like, at one point this girl was throwing Shadow's ball, and he was actually like, you know, she couldn't throw it very far, but threw it far enough that Shadow would then run over and pick it up and then bring it back. He isn't very good at obviously bringing it back and dropping it for you to throw it again. You have to sort of wait until he gets kind of over it. But like for a good 4 times maybe she threw it, and then he would go and get it and kind of bring it back over to us, which was really cool to see. Because Shadow's very hit and miss when it comes to fetch. Usually what it is he just wants to race the ball. So we'll go out into the field and we have one of those ball launchers and we'll throw the ball and he just races as fast as he can to it. And then we'll find something else to smell and go somewhere else. So you have to make sure you throw the ball when you're walking in that direction, or else then you have to make a detour and walk wherever you've thrown the ball. Because 9 times out of 10, he doesn't pick it up or bring it back to you. But every once in a while, he'll get in a mood where he's like, oh, this is a game that we're playing. Okay, like I can do this. And then it's much better. But we had, I think I told you before, so one of our other, Shadow's other doggy friend who was there, his name is Mitch. And he's a golden retriever, and he's a toy destroyer. So I think I told you guys how they came to visit one time, and we had a couple toy casualties. Because Shadow doesn't really, he has some toys that he loves, but he has 2 boxes full of toys and doesn't really play with very many of them. So we're kind of like, whatever, it's fine if Mitch wants to destroy a couple toys, that's okay. But of course, we brought our football, a soccer ball, that Liam's had for years, but we had it in our back garden, and then when Shadow was a puppy and then got a bit older, he would play with this football all the time. And so Liam's like, oh, should we bring the football? And I'm like, if we bring the football, we're not coming home with it. And he was like, oh yeah. Okay, well, we brought it anyway, so safe to say, R.I.P. football. It was very interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen, the anatomy of a football, of a soccer ball. I didn't realize, and I guess because it bounces, you don't think about it, where there's, the fabric layer, and then there's, an insulating layer, and then there's a rubber layer, and stuff like that. And so I find that very interesting. So I was fascinated. So first, Mitch was kind of chewing on it a little bit, and to be fair, he was, really teasing the situation. He didn't pop that football until probably, an hour into him playing with it. And I was like, damn, that's pretty good. But yeah, then towards the end, he was proper, getting in there, pulling all the bits out, ripping those bits, and then finding new bits to rip. And I was like, wow, go off, okay. Yeah. Again, if you don't have a dog that destroys things, you might never see the inside of some stuff. I'm like, I didn't know that that's what the inside of a soccer ball looked like. And now I do. Though he is a bit of a terror, and so I do think they struggle with him in some instances, because of course we're at this park, right? And Mitch loves the ball, but he loves all the balls, right? So a couple times there was this family of kids that were kicking their ball around in the park. And at one point, eventually Mitch had to go back on the lead because he kept on running off to play with other people's balls and not giving them back. He doesn't guard them, thankfully, so she can just go and, take them away from him. But it's still, a dick move when, the kids are playing with their footballs and then this random dog comes out of nowhere and steals it from them. So... yeah, after we had a couple chances, and then it was nah, sorry, my dude, you're led, you have to be on the lead now. You can't be trusted. And I just remember, when, luckily, Shadow never really stole stuff. He would just run up to people that we didn't know if they wanted to have a giant black dog run up to them. But thankfully, he's so much better at that now. But, yeah. So it was a success. It was a big success, and then, thankfully... my friend came over afterwards, and yeah, we got all of the, the majority of the boxes painted and finished, and I had a couple that I had to do. So then on the Sunday, in the morning, I finished all of them, except for the painting, a little bit of the painting. Because then my brother-in-law came over with his Cricut, and we printed all of the names of all of the kids. Because we got him, we did a big family group present last year for him and got him the Cricut Joy. They had a sampler pack where you got the Cricut and then you got a bit all of the tools and a little sampling of the different sort of papers and vinyls and stuff you can use. but I had never actually seen it in action. And it was fascinating. I don't know if you guys ever watched like a Cricut cut vinyl. It was very cool. It was very cool. So that was fun. And then I got to, you know, peel it off and like, you know, line it up and stick it down. And I don't know, it was very fun. It was very fascinating. We were all like super invested in it. Yeah. Oh yeah, is that something similar where it's like it cuts the vinyl and things for you? Yeah, so cool to watch. And then it was cool because he had like the software and we were picking out different fonts and then obviously like laying it out so that it could print the most effectively. And oh, no way. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I love that. That's the one thing he's not like he's going to experiment with next is the iron-on vinyls. That's really cool. But then it was so funny, right? Because my nephew, like when we have the meetup, so it's my brother and sister-in-law, Liam's dad, and then our nephew, and they all come over and we call it like our meetups and stuff. And so my nephew was over too, right? And so he's obviously getting one of these toy boxes when he comes to the reception. And so he was like asking questions about them. He's 6. He was like, oh, like what are these? Like, what are they for? And I was like, oh, like they're for at the big party we're gonna have, and we're gonna have a bunch of toys and stuff for you. And he was like, oh, okay. And he's kind of looking at them. He's like, oh, like he kept asking questions kind of throughout, you know, the evening and stuff. And then at the end, you know, we had done the vinyl and put his name on him. He goes, oh, like what are all of these? Like what is this? And I said, oh, show me if you can find your name. And so he read through all of the names of the kids on the boxes, and then he found his, and he got all excited. And I was like, well, yeah, the next time you see this box, it's going to be full of toys for you. And then he started suggesting toys for me. He was like, oh, so like maybe there's going to be a new Hot Wheels in the box? And I was like, no, but there's going to be a really cool, like squishy ball that you're going to get. And he goes, oh, is it maybe we have a bouncy ball? And I'm like, no, because I'm sitting there like, we have already bought the stuff. Like, we're not taking suggestions, little man. The box has already been purchased. The tools have been purchased. That's it. No more. But I thought it was so funny that he's like, maybe this is what I like in my treasure chest. And I'm like, that's cool. That's not what you're getting. You will get what you get, little man. But it was very cute. Okay, left hand done. Now we just got to clear up the right hand. Get all the floofy bits off. But yeah. The only thing though, now that I'm remembering, I do have to put more glow sticks. We bought like a pack of, like we got 2 packs of 100 little glow sticks. And then I was saying to Liam, I was like, oh yeah, like I filled all the kids' boxes up the other day. And I put like one of each color of the glow sticks in the boxes. And he's like, why don't you stick 10 of them in each box? We have like 200 glow sticks. And I was like, oh yeah, duh. Like, so I do have to add more glow sticks to those boxes. But other than that, they're good. This here's I'm reading now is a dark. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. Is that a bit like, yeah. Is there a bit of, well, I guess is it considered like a young romance novel? Because isn't there a bit of a concern that like the whole point of Neverland is that these are all children that never grow up? I'm assuming there's a different take on it to make it that it's can be salacious but not inappropriate. I was like, they've got to have done something with that. Interesting. He's an adult. Yeah. So it's sort of like dark, sexy hook. You know, like the Robin Williams film. Interesting. How long are these books usually? Because I know you had said that you had read 76 books. And I was like, first of all, that's amazing regardless of, the crocodile is a person? Oh, interesting. That's kind of cool. But yeah, because when you said you had read 76 books, and I'm like, regardless of how long they are. Yeah. I think that that's decent. That's a decent amount. That's awesome. I love that. These are 2 different lengths. Do we care? I don't know if we care. Yeah. Oh, are they on like a Kindle? I always find that so annoying that they don't. I remember reading a book for university, and I managed to get a Kindle version of it, and then I had to APA cite it, and it was such a pain in the ass to figure out how to cite the Kindle version of something. I'm sure it's like much more common now and there's like ways around it, but I remember like trying to cite this thing as if it was a paperback book, and it wasn't, and then it made it so much more confusing. Yeah. Yeah. So you're like, those are obviously not pages. Good enough. Good enough. Yeah, I never understood. To be fair, I have actually a Kindle up there. I've not charged it in a million years. But I'm sure there's some stuff in there. Because that's one of the things that I went through, like, not to, no pun intended, but I went down a rabbit hole of, like, Alice in Wonderland themed books, or like books that sort of had like Wonderland adjacent themes and stuff. And so I downloaded a few different ones at one point from my Kindle. I've not read all of them, but there was one that I read that was kind of interesting, where they made like a Wonderland, but it was kind of like, yeah, no, it was like Wonderland took place because it's run by the Queen of Hearts. And then they sort of expanded the universe to be like, this fantastical world has almost like 4 kingdoms and 4 governing bodies based off of each suit in a deck of cards. And then this particular character ended up in this universe, and they had to like travel, and each of them, it was kind of had like steampunky vibes as well, because I'm also really into that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's always really interesting when people can take a universe that's, already depicted in certain ways and then like reinterpret them and make them really interesting, and sometimes even better depending on what your interests are. I use the app, and then and the website when I'm at work. Yeah, so I guess if it's, because even websites would be difficult in terms of like tracking as well. Yeah. I love that the crocodile is a person, and if they still canonically trying to like get Captain Hook, that would be very interesting. The dynamic of that would be very interesting. Oh, he carries a pocket watch. He did in fact. Oh, interesting. Interesting. We didn't officially, kind of. We met our neighbor's dog today. So remember how I told you that our new neighbors have a dog, and he wasn't arriving until Tuesday? So he arrived today, so we saw him in the garden, and we couldn't help ourselves. We had to, like, go over and, like, take a peek over the garden and, like, say hi to him. So he's, like, a rescue spaniel mix, and his name is Louie. But, yeah. But apparently he's more of a people dog than a dog, so I don't know if him and Shadow will be besties anytime soon. Yeah, it's not sunny, it's artificial light. It's the side table lamp, but we need to be able to see things. We gotta be able to see what we're doing. But yeah, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. I hope you had a good weekend. You're now an uncle, which is super exciting. How have you stepped up? How's the uncling going? How's the funkle duties? We're just talking about how my neighbor's dog showed up, like, came over today, or is now living there today. So I think he's like sussing out his, yeah. So I think he's sort of sussing out his surroundings, obviously. It's his first day in his new home, so I'm sure he's figuring it all out, you know what I mean? But yes, apparently she was saying he is more of a people's dog than a dog's dog. So I'm like, that's fine. Shadow's the same way. But it just means he won't be maybe scrambling up to say hi to Shadow over the fence like Barney usually was. Barney was the name of the French Bulldog. I was like an idiot laughing all day that day. Really? Well, it's overwhelming, I'm thinking. And also not being funny, like, newborn babies don't really look like much. They're just kind of like squirmy little aliens. So I'm sure that was quite amusing. They look so cute. Oh, that's good. That's good. Because I think some babies, like, I would never say it, but, like, some babies are not super cute right away. They grow into their cuteness. Whereas other babies come out of the womb looking adorable. Others take a bit more time. Yeah. Once they, like, open their eyes and they start to, like, move around and things, I feel like that's when, you know, when they start to get a bit of a personality. Yeah, little goblins. It's true. It's true. But I'm glad that, not that it matters, as long as, you know, you're gonna love them regardless of whether or not they're cute babies. Because they're family, and they're so pure and innocent, and have just started out in the world, so you can't do nothing but love them, you know? So we're just filing down the corners and, like, smoothing out any of the sort of rough edges on the nail before we get... Oh, yeah. I need to wait. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Definitely. Just make sure that, like, all the health checks are done and that their immune system's a little bit more intact and whatever. That's amazing, though. Have you been getting, I guess you've been getting, like, photo updates and stuff? You'll be counting down the days. It'll be, like, as soon as you're in the clear, you'll be rushing over there to say hello and introduce yourself to them. How's your sister? Like, is she doing well? Is she, because, you know, people don't, I feel like people gloss over the fact that, like, childbirth is intense and, like, it can be very difficult and traumatic and stuff like that. Oh, it was behind glass. Yeah, that makes sense. So you got to sort of be in proximity to them, but not get to hold them yet. Her cousin is a Chad. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, I hope the mom is doing good. Cause yeah, I feel like people sort of gloss over how difficult and painful and potentially traumatic. She had an easy time. Oh, awesome. That's amazing. I'm glad. That's what you want. You want things to be smooth sailing, everything to happen, mom and babies to be doing well. That's all you can really ask for, you know? Yeah. That's awesome. Good for her. I'm glad she's doing well. I'm glad it felt easy for her. She could just be, you know, in like endorphin dump, like I just came, you know, just became a mom and stuff, like that sort of experience, but maybe in retrospect she might reflect. But I'm glad if she feels it was easy, then good for her. Quick up to say how dare work be busy and hectic? I just want you guys to hang out with me all afternoon, and the fact that your jobs get in the way is, like, really rude. It's really inappropriate and, you know, very disrespectful. Yeah, so rude. But I appreciate you stopping in to say hi. I appreciate you. We're gonna finish filing these nails. We're gonna have a little tea break. We're gonna snip off any of the hangnails. I keep smacking the camera with the nail file. My apologies. Okay. Excuse me. Stay in formation. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get to painting in a minute. We'll take a bit of a tea break. I did forget to bring one of my like buffering smoothing files down, but that's fine. I feel like it's good enough. Okay, cool. Almost done. And then I always find too, like afterwards you kind of like if you file down a lot as well, because your nail has like different layers to it. So just because you filed off a certain number of layers, some of the thinner layers then get like tucked behind the rest of the nails. So if you want to have like a clean paint, you got to kind of like go in and get those pieces and make sure that they've been filed off properly. So we'll do that, do a bit of cleaning up, and then we can finally get to painting. Yeah. Yeah. It is fun. It's something that, I don't know, some people really enjoy that. I remember always playing dress up with like my babysitter growing up, and we'd always do like hairdressers and things, and like it was always fun to like brush her hair and like put little bows and clips and stuff in it. I need to figure out, because again, I've not done my hair in a long time, so on Thursday we're actually going to be doing like a get ready with me reception hair and makeup trial run. Because last time I just curled my hair, and I've not curled my hair in a long time. So in order to have myself not be incredibly stressed on the day and have it not work out, we're actually going to test it on Thursday. So we're doing a lot of just like beauty adjacent streams in the next couple of days. But then Friday, we're going to finish off the week with some OG cross stitching. Just, you know, keeping it simple. I know I said I wanted to bake at some point, but because we're in the process of like cleaning the house, the last thing I want to do is make a big old mess in the kitchen. I don't have, no. The thought of that fills me with stress, so we're just going to be doing stress-free things like painting our nails and cross-stitching. And to be fair though, I say stress-free things. I'm sure makeup and hair will be not super stress-free, but we're doing it now and possibly getting stressed out so that on the reception day I don't. Oh man, tea's already lukewarm. Jeez. Okay. I'm just gonna go in and pull up any like, so see, I don't know if you can see this. There's like a little tiny bit of nail like hang up over here. So to clean that up after, pull them out, clean it up, and even practice mine. Yeah, that's cool. See, that's good. You have, your sister is a hairdresser and can do like the makeup part. I'm not worried about, because I, you know, that I don't do frequently, but I do frequently enough to know what I'm doing. The only thing I noticed, because I think the last time, and I'll probably do the same thing, is I do like a small cat eye with liquid liner. But I noticed if I make the wing too big or I put it in the wrong spot in my eye, when I'm smiling, I end up like crinkling the wing, and then it ends up getting all like smudgy and stuff. So I just have to kind of make sure that I aim the wing in the right place so that it doesn't get all like smooshy over the course of the evening. But yeah, exactly, right? That's what it is. I'm like, I will put the effort in when I can be asked, but not very often can I be asked. You know, it takes time. it takes time and effort, and then it also takes time and effort to remove it all. Like, it's gonna take, like, you know, an hour or whatever to, like, well, if I'm doing hair as well, it's gonna take over an hour, like 3 hours to do hair and makeup. And then it's gonna take, you know, like a half hour to take it all off again. So that's, you know, I know in the grand scheme of things it's less than the putting it all on, but it's still time and effort that I don't always have, you know? I don't always have. But yeah, so we're just cleaning up the nails. I just filed down the edges, and now I'm just getting all the little, like, scraggly nail bits that like to hide underneath the rest of the nail. And then we will cut any hangnails, and then we can actually start the painting process. And so what we're doing is I'm inspired by this needle felted project that we worked on together. And so I figured it would be fun to do, I think what they call like a skittle manicure, where each nail is a different color. So I got 5 different nail polishes that are taken, I'll show you guys in a minute when I finish getting all the floofs out of here. That's inspired by a particular flower on the needle felt. And so we're going to basically, I wouldn't say recreate, but we're going to use that particular part of the craft for our color inspiration for our skittle manicure. Mix the scents. Okay, floofies out of that one. Let's get the floofs out of here. And then yeah, usually I have like a almost like a buffer, like a buffing kind of file that I use along the edges just to kind of like round them out and make them a bit more smooth, but I forgot to bring it down and I can't be asked to go back up and get it, so it's fine. All of this stuff, like all of the way I like paint my nails and the way I prep my nails is all from, you know, old Simply Nailogical videos of how to like make your manicure last a long time. So the reason it takes me so long to do this is because I'm thorough, and you can blame Christine for that. Because we want to, you know, we're not messing around when it comes to our nails. Our nail game is strong thanks to her. We have a few Holo Taco products. That's her nail polish brand, but some of the other colors are of different brands, unfortunately. You know, I'm not lucky enough to own every single Holo Taco polish. And even still, I feel like not all of them would be relevant in order for us to recreate this color inspiration situation. So it's fine. It's not necessary. All right. Oh, it was really funny. I forgot to tell you guys. So like I said, on the Saturday when we met up with our friends and we had the little 4-year-old who was like obsessed with all the dogs. My friend who has she has a Chihuahua and a Chug, which is a Chihuahua Pug mix. And so she brought like some little kibble treats for her dogs. And some of the dogs were like not getting into it, but you know, noticed them. And at one point they said like, oh, it's okay for you. You know, if you wanted to feed the dogs these little bits of kibble, you can, right? And so she's looking around, and of course all the other dogs are about, and she wants to give one to all of them, right? And so she sees Shadow, and she wants to give him a treat, right? But she doesn't know if she can. So, like, just out of nowhere, she just yells, "Shadow's dad!" Because she doesn't know, like, who Shadow belongs to, I think. Or if she does, she doesn't know, like, what our names are. And so it was like we're all spread out in different places. And I think it was because she didn't know who Shadow belonged to. So she just yelled, "Shadow's dad!" And so Liam was like, yeah? He's like, "Can Shadow have this?" And it's like, yeah, he's pretty picky, but like if you want to give it to him. But it was just so funny, just like randomly out of nowhere, just this child yelling, "Shadow's dad!" And we're like, oh, I guess that's him. I guess that is. It was very sweet. Shadow didn't want the treat though. He's very particular when it comes to what he will and will not eat. He's immediately sus of all new things. Sometimes it depends on who gives it to him though. He'll be sus, and then it'll be like, but if the right person gives it to him. Yeah. It was so cute. We were all like laughing at how adorable it was. And then she came over and told me that she was 4. She was like, guess what? I'm 4. And I'm like, oh, amazing. And I was like, how old do you think I am? And she was like, I don't know. Like, I'm 31. And she was like, oh, wow. And I was like, oh, how old's your brother? Because her brother was there too. And she was like, oh, he's a toddler. He's 1. And I was like, oh, wow. But yeah, she's just so like precocious and so just like, yep, I want to do this thing and I'm going to do this and look at me. I'm awesome. And I'm like, yes, you are, child. You are awesome. Okay. I think I'm happy with the filing for now, so far. Now we're going to go in with these and just get rid of any little scragglies. No hangnail nonsense. So to recap, we have put nail oil on the cuticles, pushed the cuticles back, we've filed the nails, and now we are getting rid of any of the hangnails before we start. Not bad at all. But yeah, the only thing I've not worked out for Thursday, because we're gonna do like a get ready with me situation. I don't have like a standing mirror, so I don't know if like the entire time I'm working on this, I'm just gonna be staring at myself through the monitor in order to like use the camera as a mirror so I can see what I'm doing. I have like a handheld one, like a handheld mirror that will work when I'm doing the makeup, but for the hair I'm gonna need 2 hands. So I think I'll just be like staring at myself in the camera being like, hope for the best. But that should work okay. I think if any, you know, it might look weird because I'll be like staring myself down, but I think that should be fine. Find out. I also have to clean my brushes because the last time I put makeup on was when I went for afternoon tea with my friends and I used like all my makeup brushes. And so I'll have to give those a wash before that. That'll be tomorrow Tasha's problem. That'll be a tomorrow Tasha problem. Ooh. Oh, I'm sure. I think there's a little bit of, yeah. As soon as you told me that the crocodile was a person in this universe, I knew that Hook and the crocodile are gonna be getting up to stuff. Doing a little something, something. You know what I mean? I figured that's what was happening. Hi, Kay. Good morning. How are you doing today? I hope you had a good weekend. You had no clue. Yeah, I suspected, but I appreciate your disbelief in this situation. That just makes it all the more exciting for you to have come across the fact that this is probably what's about to go down. I have no clue. Yeah, Kat's reading a new, like, smutty book, but it takes place, it's like a dark, twisted Peter Pan universe. And in this Peter Pan universe, the crocodile is a human. And so it looks like Hook and the crocodile are gonna get into it. Yeah. The Vicious Lost Boys series. Oh my gosh. So it sounds like she's just doing a deep dive into all of the, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, you're all caught up now. Welcome, Kay. Now that you're previously on, now you're all caught up. Okay, I think we're happy with that. We're happy with this. I'm just gonna wash my hands just to get any floofy floofs off. Just BRB. It was so funny. Oh. Do you wanna catch these feet? Oh, let's see. No, you can't see them. No! There we go. Can you, no. Oh, can you see these feet? Not really. Not really. Right there. No, right there. Little shadow feet. They're hiding. Anyway. Megan was good and I finally, oh, that's nice. It's nice to have a little quiet day after some hectic stuff. Okay, so like I said, our plan is to do a manicure inspired by our needle felted project. So specifically, we're going to be focusing on this particular flower here. So with this, I can't see them. Yeah, right? they're camouflaged, really. And so yeah, we're going to be sort of taking inspiration from this color palette specifically. So we have the stem, which we're going to use this Maybelline Super Stay in Dark Roast. So that will be our stem color here. And then we have these leaves, which are like an aqua color, like a turquoise. And so we're gonna be using Holo Taco's Bring Me the Teal. All of these need a good shake too, so we'll do that. And then we have the actual flower itself. I feel like I don't have this exact color. It's sort of like a pinky purple. And it's like a pastel-y pinky purple, and so I don't have very many, first of all, pinks, but let alone pastel-y pinks in my nail polish collection. But I do have this like lilac, like light purple color. So it's called Wild-er-ness. It's a Rimmel one. Hopefully there's enough of this in here. Again, some of these don't get used very often, and then you don't want them to like get, I don't know, you gotta mix them again. So that one. And then we have the little accent pieces in the petals, like to separate the petals. So we're using, this is actually one of my favorite colors to paint my nails. Of the pink varieties, I love a good hot pink. So this is Watermelon by Essie. So this is good. I think if I'm not using Holo Taco products, I prefer to use Essie products in terms of like the full coverage and the quality and the color and the stuffs. And then for the little orange baubles on top, we have this Coconut Infusion, and it's called Flip Flop by Berry M. So again, most of these are either drugstore or Holo Taco. And then of course, we can't not cover it in Everything Taco, which has, you know, holographic and iridescent glitter combos in here. So that's what we're gonna cover everything with afterwards. And then we got our Peely base and our quick dry top coat. We're gonna use Peely base instead of long wearing base because I'm gonna be painting my nails a different color for the reception. I just kind of want them covered, but I don't want it to be a huge pain in the ass for me to do it later. Truly, glitter covers so many, like anytime, like if you smudge your nail, cover it in glitter, fixes all the things. Absolutely. So the only thing that, not that I'm concerned about, but obviously like I had said, I feel like when you paint your nails, the like most common or best real estate for a color is either on your ring finger and on your thumb. The thumb, because it's the biggest surface area. The ring finger, I feel like either of these kind of fingers, your pointer finger, your ring finger, like, because that's usually where you have an accent nail that you put a ring on to like draw attention to the area. So of the colors, obviously, brown is kind of like the least favorite in a way, at least for me. And the orange, just because like I don't really care. Like this is the trio of the colors that I prefer. So I kind of want this to follow a bit of a formula, like it is the flower blooming. But again, I don't want my thumb to be brown. So what I'm thinking, and I don't really want my nail, the last one to be orange. So what I'm thinking is this for the thumbnail. So the leaves first, and then we'll do the brown, and then we'll do the purple for the middle. Then this color. So basically my two favorite colors will be on the two main points of real estate. And then we'll end with the orange. So then this is sort of what that will look like in terms of the color flow. So from thumb to pinky, which I guess it would make sense with this hand, but it would be flipped with the other hand. So I think that's what we're gonna do. And then yeah, it'll be inspired by this. That's why this is over here. But obviously first we need to prep the nails because obviously we put oils and stuff on them when we were pushing back our cuticles. And if we want the nail polish to stick, we have to deprive the nail beds of moisture. So we're gonna take some nail polish remover, and we're just gonna do that first to absorb all of the oils and stuff off the nail bed so then stuff sticks better. Again, everything I learned from Christine, aka Simply Nailogical. So none of this is new. None of this is from school. This is all, well, the school of Simply. It's how we learn to take care of our nails in this house. So I think we've given all the colors a pretty good shake. So let's hope. Absorbing all of the moisture in the cuticle, in the nail beds. That's so funny. Hello, sniping. Good afternoon. No, good morning. Wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a fabulous day. We are getting down to business. Okay, I'm going to reorder these so I don't confuse myself. We're going to do reverse order like this. Okay, but first we need to put this coat on. So basically we got to do quick dry. Morning for us. Okay, 9:20 a.m. Yeah. Yep. Like, you guys are North America, so that makes sense. So you've just woken up. Good morning. I hope you have yourself a coffee or whatever caffeinated beverage, unless you're not into that kind of thing. Maybe a water. I hope you're staying hydrated regardless of whether or not you need caffeine or not. Sorry, I'm just warming this up by rotating it in my hands because apparently with clear polishes, if you shake them, then it gets like bubbly and that's not good. So we're just doing that instead. Staying dehydrated. Aw, man. Well, the only thing we want is dehydrated nails when you're painting them, but hydrated the rest of you. That's the goal. We want hydrated everything but the nails in this one instance. Because in other instances, when they're already painted or when they're not painted, in order to stop them from chipping and breaking, it's helpful to put nail oil on them. Oh, yeah. So, because this is a peel-off base coat, usually what you're supposed to do for full coverage is you're supposed to put, like, your nail polish from the base, like, leave in a bit of room so you don't flood your cuticle, but to the very, like, tip, and you usually wrap your edges. But we don't want to wrap the edges with the peel-off base coat because then our base is more likely to pop, like, our nail polish is going to pop off. And we want to have that happen eventually, but not right away. So I'm just kind of putting the base coat in the center, but leaving, like, a perimeter of not painted. And then that sort of creates a bit of a barrier between the polish and the nail, but we're also going to cover it to sort of seal it all in so it doesn't pop right away. So the reason people usually use peel-off nail, like, base coats is because whether or not, like, maybe, like, your school or your place of employment doesn't, like, allow you to have certain kinds of nail colors. So then you might want to paint them really fun and fancy for the weekend and then pop them off before you go back. It's, like, less hassle that way. Or it seems to be a thing with, like, swatchers. So if you're, like, a professional or, like, Instagram-y, this is... Okay. That already got kind of goopy and I'm concerned about that, but it's fine. Anyway, yeah, if you're, like, a nail polish swatcher, apparently you use a peel-off base coat, because you're obviously, like, putting multiple different nail polishes on every day sort of thing. So that can happen. Made coffee and a sandwich, ready. Ooh, amazing. Amazing in the science. Yeah, a little bit of science. Not that much science. I'm not that smart. Not that articulate. I don't know enough about it. I just know, again, like I said, from watching Simply Nailogical videos on YouTube, how to do this. But yeah. My wife did her nails last night, and only because she dyed our 3 kids' hair, and she helped our son get blue out of his hair. And I'd taken her gloves off by then, so blue destroyed the hands. And decided the nail polish would help make the hands look... Yep. Put a bit of color back in there. That's so funny. Yeah. That reminds me of, the university I went to, all of the engineering students, I don't know if it was all of the engineering students, I think it might have been. There was this, like, hazing ritual where everybody got dyed purple. So they would stick you in, like, there was, like, a whole thing where, like, in sort of, like, the quad or whatever, all of the engineering students would get dyed purple. And then you could tell which students were engineering students, like, in the next couple of days, because usually after, like, they would go home right away and, like, wash off, but they would, like, miss their ears. So sometimes you'd see someone walking in the hallway and they had, like, a hint of, like, you know, faded purple dye, like, around their ear and stuff, and you're like, you're an engineering student. But yeah, hair dye is no joke. Especially colored dye, definitely. And which is silly, because it's, like, usually the colored dyes are, like, demi-permanent. Thought it was easy. Oh, so they ate alone. No. Especially where I'm from, engineers, it's kind of like a cult, I think. So they're all together all the time. It's like a little gang. Engineering gang. There we go. Oh, that's towards the edge, but that should be okay, hopefully. We haven't wrapped the tip, so hopefully that's fine. Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, speaking as an engineering student, Prabakis, I guess you would have firsthand knowledge. There was no specific hazing at your schools? I think my brother, like, it was at his, everyone, like, got their head shaved, or there was something, like, that they did. But I don't think they ended up doing it, because my brother was so, like, down for it. They were like, yeah, give me, like, a crazy, like, mohawk, or, like, do something wild with my hair and whatever, and it's almost like he was too keen, so then it wasn't, like, a hazing punishment, so I don't think they ended up doing it for him. And he was, like, disappointed. He was like, come on, man. shave my head weird, make it happen. And they were kind of like, oh, it's meant to be like a thing, you know, it's meant to be like a torturous fun thing for us, and you're actually enjoying it, so therefore it's not fun, which is kind of a messed up thing. If you're only taking enjoyment out of doing this because it's causing people pain, then that's not cool. That says more about you than it does about the people you're like hazing or whatever. This happens with, yeah, a lot of overthinking. Well, it's the constant analysis, right? Constantly analyzing. That, or, you know, you all have undiagnosed ADHD, which if you're my family, which has 2 ADHD engineers in there, that would be a thing. Okay, cool. Now we just gotta let that dry. Peace through non-action. No, it's not non-action, it's indecisiveness. It's peace through, I need to weigh up all the pros and cons, and I've spent a million years weighing them up. Oh, I've not done anything. I thought it was all the pre-planning, planning, revising the planning, and revising the revised planning, and just so long it went over the budgeting timeline, and then on the outside, yeah, 100%, potato, yep. Absolutely, yep. No, I think, so now it's interesting. So is that wow, maybe it makes sense then that, you know, engineering seems to bring in those sorts of qualities in people. When I see someone like that, I want to immediately know all the kinks, how it breathes, functions. Yeah. That's fair. Where you just want to see how things work. Which makes sense as to why you're in mechanical engineering, because you want to break down the mechanics of everything you look at. And then it takes so long, the thing you like is not. Yeah. Yeah, by the time you've made a decision of the product you want to do or what you want to do moving forward, the software has now updated itself, and now it's the next thing. That's amazing. Longest part is obviously waiting for everything to dry. Because we want it to be dry, because if it's not fully dry, then it's going to be a real pain in the ass when we try to do layers later. Yeah. Oh, so you release a product and you already know what version 2 and 3 are going to entail? If it wasn't for managers, nothing would be done. Well, because I'm sure, too, there's always something new to explore and some new innovation to tinker around with and all that kind of stuff. Which is now yeah. You know, unless you work for the government, in which case they're always trying to make you do more with less. Like, if you work for, like, your city council or something like that, they're still using, like, Windows XP. You know, everyone's on, like, Windows 11, Windows 12, and it's like, yeah, no, we just got XP yesterday. We're trying our best. And you're like, oh, dear God. Yeah. Dry faster. I remember when I was when I used to shop at Claire's when I was a child, they had this thing where it was like a nail polish dryer, but it was like in the shape of like either a monkey or a frog, and it was like pursing its lips like it was blowing air, and it had a little button and you could press on it, and then the like plastic animal would then blow air on your nails to help them dry faster. I remember thinking it was really, I never owned one, but I saw them and thought it was really cool. But then I was also like, that seems like kind of a waste of money and time. But now in retrospect, it would actually be really helpful right now. Yeah, no, we still tacky, which is not good. We want full dryness. Yeah. That's got to be very interesting from a mechanical perspective. And like I can see there being benefits to the applications of that, and in a way that will help you work smarter, not harder, but you don't want it to get out of hand. I think the problem is sometimes technology evolves faster than government bodies can regulate it, and so it just kind of becomes this like, overarching insane entity, and that's why you have people being like, the robots are gonna get us. It's gonna be like iRobot. And honestly, it's like if people, if regulations and things don't pick up speed to do things, maybe. Yeah. My principles for a phone call have changed. It is do not call me. I'm like, no. Pick up, send me a text. Don't call me, and don't you dare video chat me out of the blue. Unless we have a prearranged agreement that we are going to video chat, do not call me on a video chat randomly. No, unacceptable. Because not being funny, 9 times out of 10 when people give you a call, you're on the toilet. And the last thing you want is to answer a video call on the toilet. Speaking of which, actually, this literally happened, not the video call part, but I called because I had to change Shadow's grooming appointment. And so I called them, left a message, and then, of course, naturally, when I'm in the bathroom pooping, that's when I get the phone call back. So I had to quickly finish up what I'm doing and be subtle about it, while also talking to them and then needing to go to my calendar in the kitchen to, figure out where I can move the appointment to. That was interesting. And I was like, of course that's when they call back. Of course that's when they call back. Exactly. It always happens that way, but it's fine. It's annoying, though, because I don't know. It must be a thing everywhere. I feel like, there's probably not enough groomers in the world. Like, groomers seem to be hard to come by because we have to move our appointment. And yeah, exactly. Yep. Was in the bathroom. 100%. That's how it happens. Because we had to change the appointment, because my parents are here and we're going to be going into London that day. So we don't have whatever. And so I was like, okay, it was meant to be on the 9th of June. So I was like, okay, or the 7th, what day it was. And it was like, okay, can we move it? Do you have anything available? It was like, okay, it's like the 9th. So the next available date was the 29th of June. But that was the last appointment in June. But of course, that's the day my parents fly home. So I'm like, oh, I can't book it then because we're already busy. So then the next available appointment was like July 9th. So it literally had to move it a month away. I'm like, dang. And that's the thing where, I remember my parents being like, oh, we're going to do this thing on, the Tuesday. And I was like, oh, Shadow has a grooming appointment. My mom's like, oh, well, can't you move it? And I'm like, yeah, I can. But then Shadow's just going to be such a scruff ball. So he's going to be full peak scruff mode by the time his grooming appointment arrives. Obviously, we can bathe him if we need to. If he gets pretty dirty. We always joke if he starts to smell like dog too much, then we can bathe him ourselves. And, we have cut his nails ourselves, too, when they get too long and stuff. So there's, maintenance we can do. But obviously, sometimes the main thing what happens is when his hair grows, it, some of the hair will grow kind of, straight into his eyes, kind of, and will, obstruct his vision. So that's usually why we go, is to, get that sort of clipped and get him, sort of cleaned up and stuff and make sure his beard doesn't get out of hand. But yeah, so who knows what sort of a gremlin he's gonna look like by the end of this, but it's fine. It is what it is. It's not a huge problem. Like I said, he's not a breed that requires a lot of maintenance, because he has a single coat, so he's mostly greyhound. He's a mix, but he has a single coat, so he doesn't need de-shedding. He doesn't mat very easily. He lets us brush him. I could see if he was really temperamental and it was something that we couldn't do on our own, that would be a problem. But because we can do a lot of this maintenance in the interim, it's fine. Groomers, barbers, electricians, and plumbers. Yeah. It's because everyone wants to be a YouTuber now when they grow up. Everyone wants to be a streamer and they want to be an influencer. Too many kids want to be influencers. Not enough kids want to be plumbers. It's a shame. But also, too, I think you're inspired by what you get to see in the world, right? I think that's why a lot of kids, when they're growing up, the first thing they see, and like you'll ask a kid what they want to be when they grow up, and usually it's I want to be a teacher or I want to be like a garbage truck driver, because you see garbage truck drivers like every week, you know what I mean? And like sometimes they're nice and they'll talk to you, or they'll like toot their horns and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, that's really cool when you're like 6 years old. And then you get exposed to other things and you go, oh, that's really cool or whatever. So yeah, I think, what is it? I think my nephew was even like, yeah, when I turn, I can't remember what age he decided. It was like, oh, he's going to turn a certain age, and then he's going to then go on YouTube and make lots and lots of money, and he can buy a big house for his family, which I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm like, okay. Farmers are a rare breed as well. Yeah. Well, it's really difficult to farm. And I think as well, if you're not able to like advance technologically, like, because I think a lot of the stuff like they do, like, you know, I don't know, like mechanical farming, or there's like tools and things like that that can then farm large swaths of land. And if you can't afford to do that, or you want to have a more organic based experience, then it's finding the labor and stuff. So I could see that being very difficult for sure. Probably not, yeah, exactly. No, it's true. You don't get exposed to a lot of those different like options. Yeah. It would be a real like pivot. Because I also think too, probably, I would assume it's probably very difficult to get into farming if you don't come from a family of farmers. But I'm not sure. Yeah, it is interesting. I think people do like, you know, they'll do like hobby stuff, but not in a way that's like mass production. Yeah. Okay, I think we are dry enough that we can, at least this guy is. So let us, oh no, that one's a bit sticky. Oh no, is it already kind of peely? I think it was like kind of chunky. Some of them were kind of chunky, and so they're already kind of drying a bit wonky. Rude. Yeah, it's true. Land costs money. I think the other thing too is unless, well, I don't know, maybe like farmers will take on apprentices and stuff. But I think a lot of times what happens is it's similar to people who have parents who own restaurants and stuff, right? Like you grow up kind of learning the trade, and also it's more cost effective for your parents because like 9 times out of 10, it's like unpaid labor, or it's like you're getting your allowance money to help serve or like make food at the family restaurant. And so like if you're a farmer and you have somebody coming in who's not part of the family, you might actually have to pay them like a livable wage, and that might not be an option, right? Whereas like if it's your son or your cousin or like your uncle or whatever, there's sort of like this unwritten understanding of like the family does this for the sake of the farm, so you're not necessarily getting paid like a livable wage to do it, you know what I mean? Unless you are, and I'm just like, you know, grossly misinformed, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm just using it as like I've had friends whose parents have owned restaurants, and that was another thing too. Usually people that study. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's a very boom and bust industry. And like I said, if you don't have necessarily the technology or the supplies or the whatever, and also probably with with climate change and like changing landscapes, I'm sure certain produce grows better or worse depending. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All right, let's shake, shake, shake our first color. I think we're gonna do this hand first, so we're gonna do every color in order. Because I don't want to do like orange, because I'm sure then I'll like end up smudging the ones on this hand. Yeah, absolutely. we go. Make sure to wrap the tip. That's what she said. Okay. There we go. First color. Orange You Glad. We're painting our nails today. Oh, I've already schmucked it. It's okay. It was just in the corner. It doesn't matter. Shh. You didn't see it. Yeah. Because we're the same person. Okay. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Liam and I have watched a few guys who have, like, tried amateur beekeeping, and it looks really cool. We were just saying, like, if we had a big plot of land and, like, didn't have our neighbors right next door, that would be, like, really pissed off if there were just bees in their yard all the time. I think it would be fun to keep bees and make our own honey. I feel like I would enjoy that. Well, let's grab this orange stick and just we got a little schmutz here. We'll just make sure it doesn't stick to the nail bed. There we go. Cool. Second color done. We'll probably do 2 coats of each because you can, I don't know if you can see, probably not with the light shining through it, but sometimes when you hold them up, you can like see your nail through. Though to be fair, these 2 are actually decently covered right now, but we'll still probably do 2 coats because also that'll help with longevity, I think. Oh, this one's stuck. There we go. You can tell I've not used the color in a while. This one's definitely gonna need a couple coats. It's like really sheer the way it applies on the nail. Yeah. Cute. It's always interesting too, because like different bottles will have different whatchamacallits, like different brushes and different brush like thicknesses and whatever. There's a wide variety. Yeah. Pine mix. Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, I'm sure like there's, because I think too, it's almost like it's like honeys. There's like spicy honeys, you know, like all, like it's kind of like, you know, how like olive oils and olive oil infusions are a huge thing. I feel like that's a big thing with honey as well. You can do lots of different, like using honey as a base. That was actually one of the things. So Liam was in Dubai last week for work. And so one of the things he brought back was saffron infused honey. But the honey itself is like really thick. It's sort of like a melted taffy consistency, so it doesn't pour very well. Which is interesting. So it's something that I think you can only really put in like a tea to help kind of melt it. Because I mixed it in with my yogurt in the morning and it was just like chunks of honey. It wasn't like a, you know, a drizzle, if you will. The only thing though is I don't necessarily know, because I don't, yeah. I know, whatchamacallit, like saffron's really expensive and really bougie and it has to be like hand picked and whatever. But I don't know if it actually has a very strong flavor. Cause you know how like truffle is another thing that's really, like another expensive like garnish or whatever. And you usually like, one, you use it sparingly because one, it's expensive. But 2, it's also very potent, so you don't need a lot, right? Whereas saffron, I feel like, you know, you use it sparingly because it's expensive and that's it. I feel like it has, like, I don't know, it doesn't really taste like anything, in my opinion, so far. I don't know what kind of flavor I'm looking for when I'm trying this. All I can really taste is the honey. And then, He also grabbed me a tea that was like orange cardamom and saffron, and I can taste the rose. And I'm pretty sure I can taste the cardamom, but I don't really, again, I don't know what I'm looking for with a saffron flavor profile, but it's nice. But I don't know if it's nice just because it's a tea and with the other one because it's honey, or if it's because of the saffron. You know what I mean? There we go. First round of the Skittles done. I feel like it's kind of like a decent, not like gradient, but like kind of a decent color match. I know probably in a perfect world it would have made more sense to do the brown first, but I didn't want brown on my thumbnail, so that's why it's on my pointer finger. But I'm still happy with it. We can do the same on the other side. I'm sure pine and orange is a really nice flavor combo. My sinuses have still been like, you think it looks fantastic? Excellent. I'm glad. I am very happy with it. This was an excellent idea. I guess it's one of those, like, it wasn't gonna it wasn't gonna ever look bad because then the needle felting project would look bad. You know what I mean? Because the needle felting project uses these colors. And so if these colors don't look good together, then the needle felted project would look really dumb. But if that looks cute, then there's no way that this won't look cute. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I don't even know. What? Some of them I think definitely needs. We might as well go and do. I'm going to send a buddy to taste test it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so difficult to import stuff. Honestly. And to be fair, it was already really obnoxious beforehand. So I always thought, so every once in a while I had these expectations of like, you know, when I moved to the UK, like what it's going to be like. And so there were two things. So one of the things is obviously growing up in Canada, a lot of times, you know, if you wanted to order stuff, you would order it from the States, or like it wouldn't be available on the Canadian version of the website. It would only be available on the US version. And then it would be really expensive to ship to Canada. And so I was thinking like, oh, when I move to the UK, you know, things are going to be so much easier to come by and it's going to be so simple to like order stuff and whatever. Not the case. Again, it's the similar thing where it doesn't exist here. So like Hot Topic, for instance, I love me a Hot Topic. Doesn't exist in the UK. But to import stuff from US Hot Topic would then cost an arm and a leg in import fees. So I've made the mistake where I've ordered something that's, you know, of a certain price point, and then you have to pay import tax to bring it into the country. And you will not get your parcel until you pay it. So it's happened a few times when my parents have actually sent us stuff. So they've sent us parcels and they've put gifts or they've not put gifts. We kind of have to figure out our way around it. And then what would happen is they would value it for what it's worth, especially if my mom's like made something or done something. It's like, yeah, no, we're sending you like $100 something. And then of course it would then cost me like £50 to then pay the tax to bring it into the country, and I'm not going to turn it away. You know what I mean? So I was like, cool, that's annoying. Oh yeah, exactly. I just find it so dumb. But to be fair, I think even before we officially left the EU, it was a thing that they did, and it was really annoying. So that was something that didn't happen in Canada. So we would be paying more up front for stuff, but at least you wouldn't have to pay the import fee afterwards. And then the other thing is, I don't know, for some reason I just assume major cities are like cultural hubs. And so one of the other things that I liked when I lived in Toronto is like going to see fun movies or like, you know, quirky indie movies at the cinema, because that was really difficult to come by where I grew up. And I was like, yeah, like there's going to be all these cool movies that we get to go to and whatever. Well, don't movies come out here like 6 months after unless they're a big budget blockbuster that come out the same weekend all over the world. If like a little indie rom-com or a little indie film comes out in North America, it maybe comes here in like 9 months. So I'm like, oh, okay. So there's like little things like that I like didn't anticipate being a problem. And it's not a major problem. Like, it's a very first world problem, but it's just like little things that I'm like, oh, I just assumed London I would have access to all sorts of things because London's a big city, but it's a big city on an island. And I guess because it's on an island, there's so many other factors that then limit us, which is very silly to me, but whatever. It's like when I think I told you guys how one of the things I wanted to get, I found this website and they did like a Y2K music themed coloring book where they had like old like Y2K cell phones and they had like, you know, the Britney VMA I'm a Slave for You performance like as a coloring page in this coloring book. And I'm like, that's so cool. I would love to have that to, you know, do like a nostalgic coloring session on stream or whatever, right? And so I was looking on it and I think it was like $14 American for this coloring book. You know, in a coloring book, I guess it's kind of expensive, but it's like a niche coloring book. I was like, cool, whatever. I go to see if it ships to us. Well, isn't it gonna cost $42? So the actual product itself is $14, but the total cost, including being able to send it to me, is like triple the price. So I couldn't justify it. I was like, guys, I'm not paying $50 for a coloring book, especially because once it gets here, I'll probably have to pay another import fee in order to actually get it into the country. So unfortunately, and then I was like, oh, I'm going back to Canada. This was last year. And I was like, oh, maybe I can get this coloring book, send it to my parents' house, and then when I get there, I will have the coloring book. I can bring it back home. It's going to be amazing. Well, wasn't it still going to cost $42 to ship it to Canada? Why? I don't understand. I'm like, no. I just wanted to color. I just wanted a Y2K coloring book. And I can't justify it. But yeah, so it was frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay to dream. I didn't file down the little like scraggly nail bits all the way, and so those now have paint on them, and it's now a bit like muddled and not smooth. But it's fine. This is why you got to make sure you get all the little, you can't even really see it. You can't, where is this? Where's my nail? There it is. You can't see it, but there's like little kind of edge crusties on my nail that are like thin pieces of the nail that I filed but didn't file off completely. So that's not helpful, but it's fine. Again, this is just like, I just needed these nails for like, you know, the next few days to last, you know, until I need to paint them for the reception. Because I just find, at least in my experience, because my nails do get quite long, if I don't have them painted, one of them is breaking. You know what I mean? No problem. Yeah. Yeah, no problem, Probacus. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Obviously, we're streaming for like another hour-ish. So if you are back in an hour, we'd be happy to have you back. But if not, I will hopefully see you sometime this week. We're back here Thursday, Friday. So I always appreciate you stopping by, though. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. We are slowly but surely. And then when you always paint with your non-dominant hand, it's like shaky business. There we go. Cool. So now we got to play the drying weight game again. Oh, by the way, the best of combos. I'm like, ah, amazing. I'm glad you feel that way. I appreciate it. I enjoy your conversation. I enjoy coming up with fun little discussion topics, and yeah, I'll chit chat about anything and everything if people are interested in it, as long as, you know, it's not offensive and inappropriate to a certain degrees. We have fun here and we hang out and chit chat. I know it's not the point of your rant, but every time I hear Y2K, I'm picturing the post-apocalypse. Yeah, that's so true, eh? I guess, yeah. I guess Gen Z has co-opted Y2K meant like the end of the world for us. But now it's meant to symbolize like a fashion movement from the 2000s. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's almost like if Y2K did happen, the coloring book, which would also be amazing, by the way. I would 100%, again, if it wasn't going to charge me like $42 for it, I think that would be funny if there was like a if Y2K was real coloring book. I think there was actually somebody who did go into, like, they made a bunker for Y2K and came out of it like 11 years later. And it was like, yeah, dude, we're all still here. Things are good now. I think I did remember seeing an article about that where there was like a guy who was legitimately like terrified about Y2K and did have a bunker and went into it on, what was it, December 31st, 1999, and did actually stay in his bunker for, I guess, however long he had rations for. I don't think I'm making this up. I'm like 90% sure that this was actually true. I don't know. Here, let's look it up. Let's look it up while our nails dry. Yeah, I'm like 99% sure. Oh, not the one. Okay, let's see. Y2K bunker 22. Oh, it says 22 years in the film. Yeah! Is it real? Apparently. Yeah, this is a Reddit post. Obviously, that's not... Okay. No, from the CBC. Yeah. So, man emerges from bunker 14 years after Y2K scare. This is an article. Let's find it. Oh, man. It, like, autoed to the main... No. This is the article we want. No, this one says 22 years. 2013. Oh, this is now Museum of Hoaxes. Yeah, I see them that say different things. Oh, okay. Yep. So it was a spoof article. The CBC had a spoof article about it. About this 15-year one. Oh, maybe I was fooled. Yeah. Interesting. So it wasn't true. Potentially. Yeah, possibly multiple guys in bunkers. Yeah. It does look like... Okay. What does this one say? Or maybe not. Yeah, it was satirical. Apparently this one specifically. Yeah. Okay, so it was satire. Interesting. There's a few different ones though, isn't there? Yeah, there's Norman Feller. That one's a hoax. But then there's this one that says this is a Dale Trustdale of West Virginia. So maybe this is a different one. Actually, 22 raccoons in a bunker-shaped trench coat. Yeah, right? Okay, this is a former coal miner, built the bunker. Yeah, this is, but who knows? This is from some, like, the Seekonk Reporter breaking news from 2022. About 22 years. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe now that one has been disproven, I'm sort of skeptical of them all. Oh, well. I was fooled. But that's why I said I'm not, well, I did say I was 90% sure it was true, but obviously I done been duped. I can admit when I was wrong. Obviously, I had seen something. That's why you don't read or agree with everything you read on the TV or on the internet or whatever. What are we doing? What am I consuming media on? I don't know. But it was a fun story. It was a fun concept. I'm still down for Y2K Doomsday post-apocalyptic coloring book, though. I'm still team for that. Okay. I think we are ready for round 2 of the nails. This is why we look it up. This is why we fact check. This is why. We all learned something today. That the CBC had a farcical article about a man surviving in his Y2K bunker in 2013. I'm like, cheeky Canada. We're so silly. I feel like if it was now, it would have appeared on the Beaverton website, which is kind of like, I think it's like a Canadian version of The Onion, kind of. So that's probably where it would have appeared on today. If we had something similar. Alright. Second coat of watermelon or Wassermelone if you're from Austria. I remember when I dated a guy from Austria for 2 years, 3 years? I can't even remember. I think it might have been 3 years. I would learn different, like, German words. The kind of feel is, yeah, do it. Do it and send it to me, and then I'll color it. But yeah, so he would teach me different words. And so I learned Wassermelone, but my favorite word was Kartoffel or Kartoffel, which is potato. So I used to run around as like a teenager being like, Ich liebe Kartoffel, and thought I was so clever. I would go and like visit him in the summer in Austria, and every weekend his mom and his sister would go for dinner at his grandma's place, at his Oma's place, but his Oma didn't speak any English, so me and her would just like, I don't know, communicate via like nods and stuff, and like and like hellos and things. Yeah, right. Then we don't have to worry about the shipping and the stupid import tax. See that brain of yours? It's thinking. Scheming. Yeah, I wish there was. I wonder, like, it would be amazing if there was like a digital download version of that coloring book of the original Y2K one in question. I would do that. I think that would be a good idea. Have lunch. We have jambalaya. Ooh, that's nice. Jambalaya, that's nice. I've not had some. That's like where it's like a kind of like a Cajun rice dish. Maybe is it Cajun? We'll have to fact check. We'll have to Google with like rice and sausage and usually like some seafood and things too. Or am I thinking of a completely different dish? It is Cajun. Excellent. I'm like, I feel like that's what it is, but... Oh yeah, that second coat made that brown much nicer. Cool. That's a nice lunch. That's a nice lunch option. There we go. Okay, so there's a second coat of these guys, and then we'll do second coat on the other hand. I realized that I've been doing a bunch of this off camera. We were talking about shrimp and grits this morning. Oh, really? Étouffée. I've heard the word étouffée, but I have no concept of what that is. Qu'est-ce que le étouffée? It sounds like it's of French origin. Done. Yeah, Cajun country dishes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I don't do really much. Ooh, gumbo too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's sort of like Louisiana area, isn't it? It's like where Princess and the Frog takes place. or part of the season of American Horror Story Coven. Second coat of dark roast going on. There we go. Little crazy the other day, I want to go back to New Orleans. Yeah. That's one place I've never been. My friends went. I've had like friends I've known who've gone down for like Mardi Gras and stuff like that. It looks like a real cool place. Like it looks like a fun like cultural hub. And I think the food's really like, you know what I mean? Like Louisiana cuisine, like our southern Cajun cuisine sounds amazing. I feel like, you know, it's one of those things to have like, you know, a can or like a TV dinner or like a, you know what I mean? Like an artificial version versus like having like an actual proper quality. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure you would want to go outside of that time period. Absolutely. Yeah, I have no interest in Mardi Gras, but I like the idea of Louisiana. I'm very big on, like, I guess the only thing, obviously, is then I get worried about, like, you know, the gluten-free of it all and not having the ability to find, though, you know, things are getting a lot better. I feel like if I, you know, I still, the way I like to have holidays is almost like themed around food. Like I feel like having foodie tours of the world is the way to go. I think unfortunately with celiac disease, like, and having the sort of gluten-free limitations on my ability to experience, like if I didn't have celiac disease, like I would be going on like massive foodie tours of places. Then it becomes like a little bit of a smaller thing. I've been to 2 Mardi Gras when I was, really? That's, wow. People get wild, obviously. And isn't that a thing, like, isn't the thing with Mardi Gras where to get beads, like, you need to show your boobs? Is that still a thing, or do they just hand them out, like, willy-nilly and, like, on floats and you can just catch them and it doesn't matter? Is that, like, a stereotype and not true, or is that a thing? Where you only get beads for boobs. Now they just toss beads, yeah. That was in Alabama. Yeah, right? I guess that's true. You don't... It's not a requirement, but if you would like to, that's on you. I respect that. They're like, we'll give you beads anyway. Though that does seem like a shitty trade, where they're like, we were gonna give these to you anyway. There was no need for that. Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. I would think that the one that you went to when you were 8 didn't have, you know, gratuitous nudity at it. But I would, you know, not that I assume, maybe the adult ones are pretty tame too, but I doubt it. If it's specifically coded as adult, that's usually giving permission for things to get wild. Nah, I did get a lot of moon pies though. That's cool. Yeah, I was just thinking how, I don't know. Again, I'm sure if I went looking, I could find some, but gluten-free beignets. I feel like beignets are like a huge, again, low-key knowing this and taking reference of this from Princess and the Frog, but still, the idea of a beignet sounds awesome. But because I've never looked to see if there is gluten-free beignets in the world. Oh, can you? Well then, if they're already doing like mixes, then it's a universal thing. It's one of those where like if there's a pancake mix, then it's a thing. You know what I mean? If I don't have to like scrounge and make my own mixes and like compile the ingredients myself, it's fine. All right, we are now 2 coats in. Official Skittles procured. But now we gotta wait for them to dry again. We gotta wait and be patient. And then we're gonna put the everything taco on, which I'm very excited about. Because this already looks super cute and wonderful, but then we're gonna make it shiny and iridescent and glittery, and it's just gonna take it to the next level, you guys. It's gonna push it to the limit and take it higher. And then, thankfully, knock on wood, we've not schmucked them. We've not, you know, but the day is still young in the drying process. So schmuckage could occur, but we're gonna cover it in some iridescent and holographic glitters so it will hide any schmucks that occur. But yeah, these are the last 2 steps, you guys. We got Holo taco, everything taco, and then we got a quick dry base coat, and then c'est fini, the nails, which is awesome because we got like 45 minutes left. So that's good. I'm out of tea now, guys. It's rude. Actually, I'm not. I'm out of hot tea or lukewarm tea, but I have cold tea in here. I have Fortnum & Mason cold tea infusion. I think it's like, what was it? Cherry something. I can't remember the other flavor. I can't remember the other fruit in the equation, but I know that cherry is one of them, and it's really delicious. It's tasty. It's a tasty infusion. What's our time looking like? Oh, do some stretching. How's everyone doing? We're just waiting for our nails to dry. Again, we've taken inspo from this needle felted project we worked on together. We've taken 5 colors from this and put those 5 colors on our nails. So now we're just waiting for them to dry before we make it sparkly, shiny, fabulous. And then, yeah. because again, this was a thing where I kept on telling you guys, I'm going to paint my nails. I'm going to paint them inspired by the needle felting project. I think it'll be really cute. I'm going to paint my nails. And I just never got around to it. And it seems like one of the only ways I seem to be able to hold myself accountable is by streaming the thing. So I'm like, I'm going to do this thing, and then I don't do it. And I'm like, but if I stream it and make it content, that will hold me accountable, and I'll actually do the thing. So thank you guys for keeping me accountable, for actually allowing me to do the thing that I kept saying I was going to do and never did until now. Same thing with the hair thing. I think I said it last week on the Friday. I was like, oh, maybe in the morning I'll like curl my hair so I can remember if I still know how to curl my hair. Never did it. Now it's happening on Thursday, which I still have to work out again. I think we have enough space to have like the curling wand and the makeup and whatever, but I've still not kind of worked out the way that the camera or like the way the mirror system's gonna work. I think what's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna have my OBS just like really big. Usually it's like just in a corner of my screen so I can like make out that everything is working, but if I'm actually using the camera as a mirror, essentially, it's gotta be big. I'm gonna have to see my face. But yeah, I have a handheld mirror if I had another one. Oh really? See, that would have been awesome. If I had the skill set for it, maybe, but I don't, so I won't. That would have been more than, so again, we've taken like what, almost 3 hours to do this. It would have taken a lot longer if we were going to actually do some nail art. Though to be fair, the flowers on there are not, because I feel like it would be really easy to do like the dot flowers, you know, when you take like a dotting tool and you put like little dots in the colors to make the flowers, and the flowers on the needle felting project are not really dot like, so that would require potentially like freehanding, which would be interesting. But we could have done these. Maybe these ones could have worked because they're just like a big dot with a little dot, and then maybe a free-handed stem. So maybe if I was feeling bolder and more skilled, we could have done an accent nail. But instead we're just going to cover everything in glitter and call it a day. But yeah, so this is the one that we took inspiration from. Obviously there were so many other colors. To be fair, I probably could have done literally like each of my 10 fingers a different color. But I didn't want it to be, like I wanted it to be a little bit more cohesive than that. So it worked out that I was able to find all of the colors to match this particular flower. So then we've done that. Because I had another green I had a green as well. But it wasn't really an exact, it was maybe this color. So I maybe could have done 1, 2, 3. There was 4 here. But yeah, maybe could have done another color combo like of the orange and the yellows and stuff on this hand, but and then even too, I think I had like a blue that could have like gone with the cup. So we had lots of color options to choose from, but just to like narrow it down, because I think there's what, like 13 or 14 colors. So obviously I only got 10 fingers. So we had to make some cuts. Not every color could have come to the nail paint party. Though to be fair, I don't think I have all of these colors. Like I have a light blue, but I don't have the 2 shades of light blue like this one. And again, the pinks I was really struggling with. I have like a light pink. The rest are like kind of nudie pinks. Like they're sort of more like browny pinks as opposed to these guys, which are much more like pinky pinks and purpley pinks. Because that's not my jam. I used to have like 200 different bottles. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. My parents, my mom and I used to do that too when we were little. We'd have to go through and like cull some of them. And to be fair, I did do that like last year, I think. I was like, I don't need all of these polishes. I still probably have quite a few though. I don't know. I hope I have under 100, but I cannot confirm. Cannot currently confirm the number. I definitely have more like, I don't know actually. Like more sort of shiny, sparkly, different polishes. But yeah. No, I remember sitting down with my mom and we would have like the nail polish bucket that lived under the sink in our bathroom. And so every once in a while we'd have to go through, dump them all out and like be like, you know, it's only what can fit in the bucket. So if we ever got nail polishes that would then go over the bucket amount, we'd have to sit down and like go through and cull them. Obviously I have learned nothing from those times. I now have a full shelf in my computer desk that is for the nail polish. And there's still room. It's not like it's full. So I think that, you know, there's still lots of nail polish in there, but from like the perspective of you have this entire shelf, like this entire drawer, and it's not full up, means there's more room in there. Not that I'm saying I should acquire more nail polish. I'm just saying that it's an option. There is an option. Yeah. Because I think too, it's like with to be fair, it's kind of like with needle or cross stitching supplies, when you're like looking to color match something, and it's like, okay, let's say we have this blue and I don't have that, but I have the next shade down. But if it's something that involves shading and highlights, you usually have your base color and then you have the one that's one shade lighter and the one that's one shade darker to then make something, right? And it was the same with nail polish, where it's like, oh, this is the same color, but it's like a slightly different tone. And it's like, oh, but they're just purple. Or it's just a light purple. Why do you need 3 light purples? And I'm like, no, they're all different shades of light purple. But, you know, sometimes you gotta make the tough choice. It's like, to be fair, I painted my nails one day and I thought I had like a shiny kind of turquoise, and it ended up looking basically like this. And it was actually more of a pain in the ass to apply. So I was like, why didn't I just use this color? So I think I ended up throwing it. If not, if I didn't throw it, it's on my to throw list. Because I'm like, this is the better formula and the better version of that. Even if it is slightly a different color, I'm like, nah. If I want turquoise, I have one. Or teal, I guess, more specifically. So now we're gonna put the sparkles on. So the Everything Taco came about when Holo Taco released, they have like their linear holo, their flaky holo, and then a scattered holo. It's like a holographic topper. And then they had, in their initial thing, they called them unicorn skins, but they're like iridescent glitter. And so they had 3 different iridescent glitter polishes come out. And so originally this was like a limited edition product where one year they decided to basically be like, what would happen if we combined our first 6 original toppers? Yeah. But yeah, and so then this is what happened. And so it was really limited edition, and then everyone was like obsessed with it, so they decided to make it a main thing. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I don't know about like the top coat going a different color. I have found sometimes if I do like a nail art thing, sometimes my top coat will like smudge the color underneath. I think when that happens though, it's because the initial color wasn't dried down enough. I think. I'm not sure. But hello, Aurora. Good afternoon. The other thing too that I was, again, learning from Simply Nailogical, that it's like some top coats are just like a plain, almost like a clear nail polish, whereas there's quick dry top coats, which apparently are better. And then even too, like, and again, I don't know if you do it in actuality, but she was saying how like when you put on the top coat, you have to almost like lightly glide it over and like lay it gently over top of the color, because if you sort of like really kind of dig into painting it, then it'll move the base polish around. But it's like, I don't know, when you try to say like, oh, glide it gently, you're like, what does that mean in terms of like painting, you know? I guess like not pushing too hard maybe, or like making sure you have enough polish on your brush, there's lots of factors, I think. Unfortunately, there's lots of variables. You don't think about it, eh? You're like, oh, like this should just be easy peasy. And then it's like, oh no, there's actually like a bit of a finesse that comes with. This is actually really cool though. I actually really love this. I don't know if you guys can really see it, because I know I've painted my nails black before, and then when I put the iridescent top coat on it, it then makes it look not black anymore. It kind of then has like a gray tone, or like it doesn't look as like crisply black. Whereas this brown still looks like a really nice deep chocolate brown, but just with sparkles on it now, which is awesome. That's the goal. See, look, it was already super cute, and then we put glitter and iridescent sparklies on it, and now it's like bumped it up to 11. Brilliant. We love it. We love it. I'm very happy with this. This was a good idea, guys. This was excellent. And we're not even trying to hide like any initial polish smuckage. We're just experiencing the shiny for all it is worth. But yeah. And then because this is like glitter that has a bunch of stuff in it, I've not bothered like wrapping the tips. I've only wrapped the tips using like with the colored polish, because then that helps kind of, apparently it helps seal the manicure in. So instead of just like having a flat thing that then like something can kind of get in between your nail and the nail polish, if it's wrapped, it's sort of coated around it, and so there's less likely to have stuff get inside it. It's kind of like when you have a duvet cover and it's like hanging down over your mattress, it then sort of keeps the heat in, versus if you had it like on top of your mattress, like laying parallel to it without having the hang over it, you're more likely to get a breeze up and make your feet cold. That's the best way I can describe it. So it's sort of like taking the polish and making it go past the nail to kind of keep it sealed in place, instead of just keeping it and going to the edge of the nail, because then the potential for air and debris and cold feet can happen, if that makes sense. That's my analogy. You don't want cold feet, so you put your comforter past your mattress. You don't have it lay right on top. Same thing applies with nail polish. Except wrapping glitter over top will just make like a really like uneven edge, which is not ideal. But when we put the quick dry base top coat on, then we will definitely be wrapping the tips. That's what she said. Get your minds out of the gutter, guys. Rude, inappropriate. We're all adults here. Okay. That's my second "that's what she said" joke of the stream. I've been doing very well to keep it to myself. Oh. Is Pando not working? We might need to fix that. Pando, why aren't you receiving your treats? Hang on. We need to investigate this. Because usually he makes noises and stuff, right? Rude. He's just been bouncing. I know that they think they've done an update recently, so maybe we have to go in and like update him. Let's go and check. Can let this dry. Sometimes I go in with another coat of this if I want it to be more like concentrated, but I'm kind of happy with the amount of sparklies that we've got going on here. Yeah, let's see what the heck is going on with Pando. Let us go and check. I supposed to do if it's not working? Because I just did the test. What if I toggle it on and off? Settings. Okay. Volume up. Idle events. Yes. Info. He has to get to level 15 before we can change his color. Interesting. Oh, channel points. Let's test this guy. Maybe if we go in Panda. OBS. Oh, copy and paste. Paste. Okay. Next. There we go. Now he seems to be working. Now let's go back in and give you back those points. And then hopefully he works now. That was silly. Yeah, there we go. It's happening now. He just needed an update. Silly Pando. There's the nail polish that you avoid. Ooh. I don't know. I think now I'm like, to be fair, like these ones I'm not a big fan of, like the Rimmels and the, I don't know. I think like if I'm not doing Holo Taco, I think as a rule, or I seem to gravitate towards Essie the best. Yeah, right? Honestly, I wish I could update myself. Yeah. I do find the ones like that are meant to be these like quick dry ones, I find they get chunky really quick. So I'm not usually a fan of them. This is kind of like a one-off, and it's because I picked it up on a whim for the color. But yeah, I think usually as a this, I don't know, and I think maybe too if it's yeah, those ones again, it's the ones that like really get chunky really quick. But I do find, also too, it depends, like, I also don't like the applications of certain brushes, whereas this one, I like the sort of thickness of the brush, but it's not, like, super, super thick, so this is sort of, like, what this brush looks like. It's, like, kind of thin, but when you, like, it's a lot of bristles, so when you lay it down, it's, like, better. So that one's not a super, super flat brush, whereas this one, it's, like, super chunky, which isn't, I don't know, always the best. It depends also too, like, on how thick your nails are, right? Like, if you have really, like, thin fingers, then thick brushes can be, like, a real pain in the ass, right? Whereas if you have thicker fingers, then, like, this, like, I actually, if it's too thin of a brush, I find that the polish starts to dry before I've, like, fully done a first coat. And then I find I get, like, uneven bumps and stuff like that, which is really annoying. But, yeah. And then, yeah, I think because, to be fair, there's a quick dry top coat that I prefer over this one, but I don't think it was in stock when I went to the grocery store, so I ended up picking up this one. And I don't hate it. Like, it's fine. The other thing, too, I find with quick dry top coats is they seem to be a lot runnier. But you almost need, like, a large... The other thing, too, is this brush is kind of dumb. There's, like, an extra rogue hair that, like... There we go. I fixed it. Okay. Let's do this again. So you're supposed to get, like, quite a bit on your brush for quick dry, like, for top coats. And then, like, you're almost, like you said, gliding it across as opposed to, like, working it into the paint, if that makes sense. You're sort of, like, delicately laying it on top. Mm-hmm. You like the flat brushes, yeah. Again, sealing it all in. But yeah, this stupid, like, there's a rogue extra hair that is too long, and so I just kind of, like, I don't know, poof it up. That's the other thing that's annoying is sometimes, like, I guess probably for, like, manufacturing faults, you'll get, like, a nail polish. Because there's one nail polish that I have, again, from Holo Taco when they were working out their products and stuff. And so it doesn't, like, dry down very well. It's sort of, like, uneven in how it dries. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass to work with. They've since updated the formula, so I think it goes on a lot smoother. But I just don't have the updated formula version. Yeah. And then once this dries, sometimes I'll go over and just, because when you add glitter to your nails, I find sometimes, like, you, like, the whole point of the top coat is to seal everything in. And obviously if you have glitter on, it can then provide a texture. And so sometimes you need, like, an extra layer of top coat to really make sure that everything is sealed in, because the glitters then poke out a little bit higher than what your, like, first base coat is able to cover. So if it needs it, we'll go back in with another layer of quick dry top coat. And then hopefully, if I have done this correctly, because I used a peel off base coat, when I go to redo my nails next week, it won't take as long for me to use, like, a bunch of nail polish remover to get rid of the glitter and stuff. Because that's the thing, glitter hides a multitude of sins when you're painting your nails, but it's a pain in the ass to get off of your nails if my nails are chipped to shit and there's just a little bit left over, it's fine. But, like, if it's, like, a full coat of polish that I've just put on, like, I'm sitting there holding the cotton pad full of acetone on my nail for a while to get it all to budge. And so with the peel off base coat, it sort of creates this, like, membrane buffer between your nail bed and the nail polish. And so you can just take, like, a cuticle stick and kind of, like, pop them off. But I only put them in the center. Yeah, I only put it kind of in the center of the nail because I then kind of sealed it with the nail polish because I don't want them to pop off right away. Yeah, I didn't really know anything about peel off base coats again until I started watching Simply Nailogical videos, and because she, like, does swatches and stuff, where she'll get, like, I don't know, like, PR packages of nail polish. And so if you're painting your nails a bunch of different colors a day, it would be, like, a lot of, not to be, like, not even, like, a lot of effort, but also I think it would really damage your nails if you're constantly using acetone on your nails and skin, like, multiple times a day. So the peel off base coat is, like, you can just kind of pop it off and then just do cleanup with the kind of edges and stuff like that afterwards. But yeah, the only problem is obviously if you apply the peel off base coat, like, from the base to the tip, like, that membrane is completely there and it's not really sealed in by anything. So I've, like, I don't know, I remember when I used to work at Pandora and I had, like, I wanted to paint my nails funky colors and I couldn't. I used the peel off base coat to go to work, and my nails definitely, like, one of them popped off. As soon as I went to open a clasp of a Pandora bracelet, like, the nail popped off. So I needed to be careful. I was like, oh, I can't do this here because I'm using my nails for stuff, and that wear and tear will not allow that to stay on for any longer than, like, a few minutes, which isn't good. And then I had this, like, fear that I accidentally popped my nail peely off and it ended up in a customer's, like, shopping bag, which would have been mortifying. I don't know if it ever happened, but I always, like, I think one time I had finished checking out a customer and then I had, like, looked at my nails and I noticed one of my peelies had popped off and I was like, I hope to God it did not end up in the customer's shopping bag. That would have been terrible. But yeah, we didn't get a complaint and no one came marching back, so I assume it didn't happen. It must have fallen off, like, when I was, I don't know, rearranging the jewelry boxes or something like that. Yeah. Oh, no. Scary times. I'm just kind of, because I noticed I went over the edges with some of these, so I'm just making sure it doesn't, like, dry to my skin. Because the other thing, too, is if your nail polish then goes on, like, your nail beds or goes on your skin, if you don't remove it right away and leave it to dry, eventually it will chip off. But obviously, if the stuff on your skin is also attached to your nail polish on your nail, then you could, again, eventually cause chippage and such. Similar to on your nail bed. So, like, if it's on your nail bed, you kind of leave a little bit of a gap between your cuticle and the nail polish application, because then as your nail grows, the polish isn't then, like, fighting against your cuticle. So you're just trying to paint in a way that prevents the possibility of, like, wear and tear on the polish itself. Yeah, it would have been hilarious, but it would have been traumatizing. Cool. Give us a little minute to dry, and then we will go over and just check to make sure all of the glitters are encased in the quick dry top coat. Yeah. I also need to paint my toenails because the shoes I'm wearing are open toe shoes. But, you know, we're not, no feet on the internet. That's a dangerous idea. Not for free, you know? That's what I always joke. It's so funny. Every once in a while, so, like, we have a family group chat with Liam's parent, like, with Liam's family. And, that would be funny if I, like, wrote something or, like, had a cute little picture or something on them. That would be funny. It would be, like, a sticker. That would actually be cute. Instead of just, like, oh my God, did someone's nail come off in my bag? Because that's what I assume the first thing you think is if it's, like, a full-on, it looks like it's in the shape of a nail. You think it's a whole-ass nail. But it's thankfully just the polish. But yeah, every once in a while, so on Fridays, Liam's aunt will do this, like, oh, like, everyone post a picture and, like, you know, update us on how you're doing, like, happy Friday, everyone. So everyone in the family, not everyone, but a lot of people will then send, like, selfies and stuff. But then other parts of the family will then send, like, the top of their head or, like, their foot or something like that. So every once in a while, Liam's aunt will post, like, a foot picture in the group chat. So I always message her being like, don't do that for free. Don't give those feet pics away for free. And then she always, like, messaged back being like, what? Question mark? And I'm like, I'm glad you're not on that side of the internet, so you don't know that this is important information. But so I always say, I'm like, you gotta charge for those photos. Make your money's worth. Don't give feet pics away for free. And that's why I'm not painting my toenails on the internet. I'm gonna do that in the privacy of my own home, off camera. Okay. Oop. And so even though, like, it's not smudging as I'm lightly, like, caressing the nail, if I were to press firmly on it, it would, like, cause smudges and chips. I think I remember Simply Nailogical saying something about, like, even though things will dry quickly, like, the quick dry top coat is dry, but it's not, like, fully solidified, and that's not gonna happen for, like, another few minutes. Oh, this one I absolutely smushed. Damn. I don't know if you can tell, which is good. But yeah, I definitely have some creases in that one. That's annoying. But yeah, so basically, even though it feels dry to the touch, it might not actually be dry. And I've definitely made that mistake where if, like, sometimes I'll sit down and paint my nails, and obviously this has taken us 3 hours. If I don't go to the bathroom before I paint my nails and I'm like bursting to pee after I've painted them, there's moments where I go to the bathroom and then you go to wipe and then obviously things are dry but not fully dry. The whole hand is smudged. Ruined all that hard work. So always pee before you paint your nails. It's very important. It's very important to pee before you paint your nails. Yeah, exactly. You're like, I can't do this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I guess too, you have to make sure it's like fully dry, because then if you go to bed and you lay on your pillow or like pull up your duvet, you might get like fabric smudges in there too. But yeah, no, I know what you mean, where you're like, I don't have the capacity to not do anything for like a couple hours while my nails are doing stuff. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's difficult. I am going to do another coat just to be super secret special safe. And also see if I can then like level out what I smushed earlier on. Yeah, same. I see when my back just forced my straight down. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're like, don't do it. Don't mess with the stuff. Last little bit, final stretch. We have timed this pretty dang perfectly. Ooh. So like I said, Thursday, we're gonna be doing more beauty aesthetic adjacent stuff, and I'm gonna be trialing out my reception look. We're gonna do both the hair and makeup. I'm less concerned about the makeup. The only thing I am concerned about is smudging my winged eyeliner if I put the wing in the wrong spot, because then when I smile it like crinkles and then it causes, you know, smudges, and it's no longer wings, it's like speckles, which is not what we want. Oh! I completely, for a brief moment, I forgot that you were reading Peter Pan smut, and I don't know why my brain instantly went to the like new Peter and Wendy movie, and I was like, oh, are they making another, or like how they made all of those cartoon Tinkerbell movies with Mae Whitman voicing Tinkerbell? I was like, oh shit, is there another one of those direct to streaming Tinkerbell movies out? I completely forgot about what the context of that was. I was like, oh wow, she must be really excited about those animated Tinkerbell movies. Oh. To be fair, she is in the movie as well. Like if you've ever rewatched the animated Peter Pan, she's not a nice person. She's not a nice fairy. She has this like total rebrand redemption arc, like I said, when she has all of these like direct to VHS and DVD streaming movies of her, but she's actually like not a good person in the original stuff. Because again, yeah, she's in love with Peter and hates Wendy, with a passion. So it makes sense that it would make sense that they would do that in this one as well. But yeah, I do find it so funny, like, when you think about it, how, yeah, the, like, Tinkerbell rebranding, and she then is in, like, what is it, like, Stars Hollow, or some sort of town name like that, and she has all her other fairy friends. I don't know if that's, like, I don't know if it's canon, or if it's pre-meeting. Like, is it a prequel? Like, all of these adventures are obviously pre-her meeting Peter Pan, maybe? I don't know. It's one of those where if you think about it too much, you're like, this doesn't make sense. Because the Tinkerbell from the, like, Tinkerbell cinematic universe and the Tinkerbell from the Peter Pan universe are kind of two completely different Tinks. And you're like, okay, who came first? Are they the same? What happened? I'm led to believe that, like, all of the Tinkerbell cartoon movies are pre her meeting Peter Pan, and she meets Peter Pan when she's, like, I don't know, I guess a teenager, like, older, and she's more, like, jaded from the world or something. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, we fixed the smudging that I did on this nail. I think Peter was her downfall as well. She was, like, thriving, and she was also innovative. Like, there was this whole one, the reason she's called Tinkerbell is because she gets, like, I don't know, there's, like, it's one of those, like, sorting hat choosing ceremonies when the fairies are born. One day I watched all of the Tinkerbell movies. And I think it's, like, when they're born, they sort of have, like a sorting hat choosing ceremony. And she then gets placed in the Tinker category of fairies, and hence the name, like, Tinkerbell. So there's other Tinkers. She's not the only Tink, but then, like, in the Peter Pan universe, like, she's not doing any tinkering. She's tinkering with feelings. And, like, you know what I mean? But she's not tinkering with, like, stuff. She's not, like, mechanical tinkering. She's just tinkering with feelings and emotions. So she's not yes. Yeah. Yep, I think that's exactly what I said. I don't know if she's a full nuanced character, but she definitely has a lot more going for her than she does in the Peter Pan movies. That's for sure. Yeah, exactly. Men are trash except ours. Yeah, always with the asterisk, right? I'm like, we mean men are trash with the asterisk of, like, except for the good men that we have found. All right. The final Manny reveal. We got sparkles. We got color. We got length. We got, I don't know. She's beauty and she's grace. She's glittery and iridescent and fun colors. Thanks. Yeah, I'm really happy with them. So bring this back over. Hope for no schmuckage. So there we go. The inspiration and the actuality. The inspo and the main event. I'm quite happy with it. I love, to be fair, just even outside of this teal color and this pink color are two of my, like, favorite color shades to paint my nails. So I'm quite pleased with this. But yeah, so that pretty much brings us to the end of stream, guys. If anyone has any raid suggestions, let me know. If not, we'll go and see some of our friends who we know and love. see what they're up to. I think Maker Bug might be online. I know she wasn't feeling very well last week, so she didn't stream. But she's back this week. But we'll see who else is around. But I'm leaning towards that. Lots of people. Lots of people. That's the thing. We've met a few. We've like made some new friends over the last couple of weeks. So now we got so many options when we go into raid people. It's amazing. Who have we got here? Let's wait for this to load because it doesn't like me very much. Come on. Saul's online. Emila Creations is stitching today. Maker Bug. Ooh, she's upcycling. Severus. Rabbit. Stormy. Seabird. Wow, everyone's online. Satchel Max. Let's go see Maker Bug. That's what we're, you know. Let's go see what she's up to. Go give her some love. I know she said she was streaming today and she had no idea what she wanted to make, so she's obviously figured it out. She's making, yeah, she's making like little upcycled painted flowers, which is super cute and wonderful. So let's go do that. I will present the raid message. And like I said, we will be back here on Thursday attempting, well, you will not be attempting, but I will be attempting to curl my hair for the first time in a while. Oh, that's so funny, Probacus. You have arrived as we raid in. Yeah, we're going to go see our friend Megan Makerbug, who we love very much. And yeah, we'll be back here on Thursday. Maybe we do too. Yeah, that's true. Maybe you also get to braid my, well, yeah, vicariously. But yeah, so we'll do that. We'll do some hair and makeup and hope for the best. And then if that's not your game and you just want some good old cozy crafting, Thursday or Friday is your day. Friday, we are cross-stitching. Just keeping it cozy, keeping it nice and light and stress-free for this week. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Okay, bye!